Hey, happy Monday. Welcome to the Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream show in the entire world, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. New podcast will be up tomorrow, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Dave McCann with Blaine Fowler. We're the Wise Guys. And man, for a Monday, the world is on fire. The transfer portal's open and things are happening.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. So, hey, while you're joining us, make sure you subscribe to our free email, wiseguys.com. You can also watch all of our past content. Go to the site. That's the launching point for everything, ysguys.com. And while you're there, hit that free subscribe button. Also do that on your YouTube channel. So if you're watching us on YouTube tonight, make sure you subscribe there. The more subscriptions we have, the more long-term we can do this. We want to just keep doing it forever.
We realize this is the best show.
Yeah.
There's just nothing like it.
First of all, we have a ton of fun with it, and it was really fun. At the spring day and the Alumni Game and all that, we ran into a lot of people down on the field.
Oh, yeah.
All ages that said, hey, we're watching the Wise Guys show. We appreciate that. We want to keep doing it. And if you subscribe at both places, that'll help us keep doing it. So
is Brady Plus. They're our title sponsor. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country, over 6,000 employees. You see their products all over the place. If you go to the Pentagon, you'll see them there. If you go to Disney World, they're there. They're all over campus, all over the free world. And the president of Brady Plus is Travis Brady, a BYU alum. And so we love associating us and our show with him and what he's got going on.
And we have a lot of gratitude toward Travis because he's kept us alive when we needed help. Travis stepped up, and he's the reason that we're still doing this. So we appreciate Travis very much. Also, we thank the Deseret News. Wise Guys is being distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. So you can watch for our content on all of their social media sites as we serve Cougar Nation all over the world. Most Monday nights, 5 continents.
5 continents.
And who knows where people are downloading the podcast the next day, because it's everywhere. Because there are BYU fans all over the world.
Yeah. And we love seeing the live stream just hopping one place after the other.
Hello from Wisconsin. Sylvia, always in, every week. Sylvia there from Wisconsin. Ridgecrest, California is in the house. St. George is in the house. Love St. George in the house. That's where my daughter and the Fry family lives down there. Glad to have all of you here. Cary, Idaho. We'll take Idaho for sure. Cedar Park, Texas is in the house, and Phil Jenkins. So
there's Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, we love Columbus, Ohio. That's Ohio State University.
It's Buckeye territory.
Territory for sure. But I know that Bryce is a BYU guy, not a Buckeye.
There's San Antonio. I saw a question a moment ago saying I just read Dave's article in the Deseret News on Yegor Demon. Will he be back next year? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, so hang tight. Yeah. This is that time of year.
Mike Hamilton's in the house from San Antonio, and Mareko Hedquist asked, he says, love your shirt, Blaine. Where did you get it? This is my Hang Loose shirt.
Nice.
My wife went online to the BYU store, and she got a bunch of stuff for us to take on the BYU cruise next week. And so she thought this would be a fun one to wear at the cruise, and it's pretty fun. So what does it say on the arm? Yeah, it's a Cruise with the Cougs shirt.
Oh, it is a cruise.
So yeah, it's one of the ones from the show. So it's Cruising with the Cougs. So we're promoting that a little bit.
There's Weston from Nebraska, Linda from Saratoga Springs, Ruth from Harriman. We've got an awesome show tonight, beginning with what's next for the Cougars after reaching the Sweet 16 in Kevin Young's first season. We'll talk about the transfer portal. Man, it's been a busy day.
Nobody at these two desks thought they were a Sweet 16 team when he first took over. We just hoped they would compete in the top 6 in the league.
Yeah.
And we thought that would be great. But they did much better than that. We'll talk a little more about that. Hey, spring football's over. We're going to have Austin Collie on the show with us, and we're going to ask BYU TV analyst and former wide receiver with BYU and also with the Colts, Peyton Manning's favorite target there for a couple years, what he wants Jake Retzlaff and the receivers to accomplish over the summer. What's the task for them now as they're done with spring ball and as they prepare to come into fall camp? What does he want them to do?
He is also going to break down your performance in the
he was my head coach and the GM of our team.
Coach Collie will have his coaching hat on, and we look forward to that. The Alumni Game delivered another fantastic finish, a touchdown pass with 19 seconds left, determining the winner between Team Royal and Team Navy. So we'll have some fun with that one. We'll also relook at Spencer Linton's over-unders for the game.
Yeah.
He was pretty close.
I can tell you, Austin wasn't happy with my first half performance, nor was I.
I'm sure.
But he did when we threw the touchdown.
You were his number one pick.
Yeah, when we threw that touchdown to Rob in the second half to take the lead the first time, he did say, dude, that was a dime. So
nice.
He was happy with that drive because we drove.
He caught dimes from Tom Brady.
We came out in the second
Peyton
half.
Manning.
We drove it systematically down the field and got a touch. And thanks to Jake Retzlaff's advice, who told me, dude, why are you not throwing it to your young fast guys? So I just started to throw it to Devon Blackman and to Rob Daniel, who looks like he could play. Remember, Rob was in the NFL like not last year, but the year before.
Yeah, he still
playing
has
defensive
it.
back.
He's still got it.
And you know who looks great, even though he's been out of it a couple of years? Moroni, Laiolu Pututau.
Yeah, he had a pick.
He looked good. He looked good. Threw it to him a couple of times. So
Jim's on the live stream from North Carolina. Says, love the info I learned from your show. Thanks, Jim.
Nebraska, Ohio, Orem High School alum there, Bryce Coombs,
Golden Tiger,
who's so a fellow alum of yours.
We're also stoked tonight because BYU's high-flying Keone Thiim is going to be here from the men's volleyball team. Cougars host Stanford Thursday and Friday of this week. And so we thought, well, let's get Keone in here. He's got a 45-inch vertical. He's not going to jump on the show.
He could jump from the door to the studio onto the set. That's how good he can jump.
He's got a great personality, and we're eager to have him on with us tonight.
And he is fun. I haven't seen a player like him in volleyball, and we go, Brendan and I go quite a bit. Sometimes you'll see us sitting on the front row behind the service line. He reminds me of Antoinetti that played here, that was like 6'1", Ozzie Antoinetti, and he was like 6'1", and I would think, how can he be an outside hitter at 6'1", or an opposite? And he would just fly through the air, and he reminds me of him. Yeah. And that's a huge compliment because he's one of the best players of all time. But he has that kind of jumping ability.
We're going to ask him what he can do with the basketball and his 45-inch
I'm sure he
vertical.
can 360 reverse
and who
dunk.
on that team would be the best dunker? Those are some hard-hitting questions we're going to hit Keone
But they're
with.
fun, and we're going to ask him.
That's going to be good.
So let's get into headlines, right?
Hey, one of the headlines, Lee Kumard is the new basketball coach for the BYU women. That was just actually formally announced about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what that means moving forward, but check that off the search list.
That's a big headline.
Lee Kumard, the head coach for women's basketball.
And I'm excited about that. We'll talk a little bit more about why we like that choice. So congrats to Lee. We love Lee. We've been close to him for a long time, and it's exciting.
He's been on the show, and we'll get him on the show here shortly.
Yep. So let's start with the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
BYU, number 7, Alabama takes BYU down in the Sweet 16, 113-88. They broke a 35-year tournament record with 25 three-pointers.
That's an insane number. 132 insane numbers. 113 points in the big dance. BYU doesn't give up that kind of points. And 25 turnovers, nobody makes 25 threes in a
25 of 51, no less. No. First of all, they shot 51 and made just a hair under half of those, which is nuts. And what did I say? You and I were texting that night, and I said, you watch. They will come out and shoot their normal 35% or whatever. And the guy that just carried them and made everything in sight is a 30% three-point shooter on the season and made 11, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not going to happen in the next game, which is going to be even more disappointing. There's no way he shoots it like that in the next game. And, of course, he didn't. He did not. No. So,
what, they make 8 against Duke?
Yeah.
8 or 30 or something like
that? Hey, let's give Duke some credit. They defended him a little better, came over the top of the screens. But sometimes a team just goes out of their mind. Like, is BYU that much better than Kansas in the game when BYU just shot lights out?
They just were on that night.
That's what happens, right? BYU, I think, is better than Kansas this year, but they're not that much better than Kansas. And Alabama is not 113-88 better than BYU, but they shot out of their minds.
Just the 75-18 difference in three-point scoring.
It's nuts.
I just hadn't seen that number before. Richie had 25.
Richie was just Richie as usual.
And then they go back and they get beat. The next 2 days later, Duke beat them. They made 8 threes, I think. And they just had a night. And so I was calling the baseball game, watching that on my phone, and I just thought, you know what? I finally just put it away. It's an historic night for Alabama. and that was their night, and so that's what they got, and we just caught them at the wrong time.
Yep, that sometimes happens, and then then they had an off night, and Duke played really well. Duke's really good.
Yeah.
Who do you like, Houston or Duke?
I like Houston. I've got them winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I do too.
But that's the game.
Yeah.
Not even, Auburn's good.
That's the
Florida's
two best
good,
teams in my mind right now.
Yeah, I think that's the game. We'll talk about that a bit later too. Kevin Young, 26-10 in his first season, third place in the Big 12 after being picked ninth. BYU's third trip to the Sweet 16 in program history. What can you say about Kevin Young? And streamers, if you get a chance, what did you guys think of the job that he did? I think it was a tremendous start, and it sets the bar for next year where and I saw some of the national pundits today saying, hey, the Sweet 16 is the floor, not the ceiling.
For BYU now.
Moving forward for BYU. And I'm like, hey, that's refreshing.
Yeah, that is. Like, respect. BYU earned respect. Do you know what I love most about the whole season is that you and I did, I don't know how many, like the first 10 games or something like that at home. And so we got to visit with Kevin every game. And they were a little bit of a work in progress. He was trying to figure out combinations on the floor and what they were going to do. And he said to both of us, we have talent, there's no doubt. I don't really care where we're at right now. I'm more concerned with where we're going to be in March and how we finish, because we're going to be a finished product then as we figure this out and as I figure out how to coach at this level and in this league and in college basketball in general. That was so prophetic because they went through some struggles early on. Mm-hmm. They gradually got better. He figured out combinations. He figured out who to put on the floor when. Players blossomed. Some players didn't blossom. Others blossomed. He made changes based on who, like Mag. When we were doing those 9 games, did you have any idea that Mag was going to be so integral to their success?
No, he wasn't even in the
Stewart?
game. They weren't even in the game.
He brilliantly looked at the talent, let them morph together, started putting pieces together, and they came down the stretch. That's as good as I've ever seen a BYU team play in the end of February and into March.
Yeah.
Like, especially during tournament, like the last couple weeks of the season, the Big 12 tournament and on into the NCAA. I mean, they were really good. One of the top teams in the country.
Sylvia says, Kevin Young exceeded my expectations. Ben, absolutely great job by KY.
This is Ben Hansen, yeah.
And that's going to be the theme throughout. What I most appreciate about Kevin Young is he is the same all the time. He's the same at practice. He's the same guy on the street. He's the same guy at church. He's the same guy. There's no multiple personalities.
Yeah.
I think the kids feed off it as far as the players go. But when they were struggling, he was the same to us. And when they're on top of the world, he's the same to us.
Yep.
And I loved that consistency and his staff, and they adjusted to what they had through the season. Now, sometimes in games, they had a different lineup on the floor, and it just didn't work out. For the Alabama game, Alabama's not a good three-point shooting team, so you know what? They went under the screens to encourage those guys to shoot. If they shoot their average, we're going to beat them by 15 points. Well, they just caught lightning in a bottle, and so you zig, they zag, and the zag won. But the strategy you totally get. Yeah. This is why we're doing that. The numbers say do this. And I just thought they adjusted to their foes pretty well. They had some enormous wins.
And they played great second halves. Even in that game, they played fine in the second half. So, it is an interesting finish to that season, and it leaves a lot of excitement going into next season. And I agree. I think, like, with the talent they have coming back, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Sweet 16 is my expectation next year, or better, right, with experience.
You know, what I'm excited about is I talked to David Phillips, who's been on this show, our BYU TV boss, and he just got back from some Big 12 meetings. And he said, beginning next season for the ESPN Plusers, it's you and me and Spencer. They are our A team, and so it'll be the preseason. And you know what? DeBance is going to get a lot of network stuff.
So we may not have a lot of ESPN Plusers.
But we'll be throughout. So I'm happy about that.
The way this worked, because a lot of you have asked that when we've run into you, like, hey, how come you and Dave did the whole preseason for ESPN Plus, but when the regular season started, the existing contract that the league had with ESPN required that talent group that they had to do those regular season games, the in-conference games. That ended at the end of this season. And so now next season, not only will Dave and I do all of the home games in the preseason that are on ESPN Plus, but we'll do anything in the regular season at home that's an ESPN Plus game. So there won't be other. So we probably pick up another 5 or 6 league games and throughout, and then hopefully we get a little chance to do some of the early tournament stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But we're excited about that. What was your favorite moment from the season? Think about that.
Yeah, you guys let us know yours. Your favorite moment from the season. Dave and I are going to tell you ours.
I was all over the place. And then I went to the Wisconsin game.
Yeah, it was great.
And they beat a team that was supposed to beat them. They beat them on a neutral floor to go to the Sweet 16. I have some honorable mentions. Winning at number 10 Iowa State in overtime, 85-80. And then the game we were doing when AJ came out and did his parade around the
you and I
Center
were calling that game, right?
After he had made his announcement and the place went bananas.
Yes.
It felt like the king had arrived.
So
those were my moments. What are yours?
So I knew you had those because you picked yours first, and so I wanted to do different ones because I did love that Wisconsin game and AJ's coming out party. But the Kansas beatdown to me was such a spectacular shooting. Like, it was probably how Alabama feels about the game against BYU. Is how I felt about that Kansas. It was a beatdown. Kansas, it was a record beatdown for a Kansas team. So that one sticks in my mind. And then the other one, I love your road win at Iowa State. I also love the road win at Arizona.
Yeah.
So my number one would be Kansas beatdown, and my number 2 would be the road win at Arizona.
Yeah, and that was...
and Arizona proved to be really good, better than Iowa State even.
Yeah. Yeah, those were big. Those were big. Those were going into the toughest places.
The last month of the year was awesome.
Last year they go in and beat Kansas. This year they go into Arizona, beat Arizona. They go into Ames and beat Iowa State. It's like, who was left, right? Houston. Yeah. Well, Houston's probably going to win the national championship.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah,
we're seeing that.
K-Buzz blocking against Iowa State. Matt in with that one. That was probably one of the greatest plays of the season.
If I'm picking out a play, that might be my favorite play because it exemplified who the team is. Like, they had some first halves where they were just kind of okay, but they stayed in games because they were tough. And then they were great in the second half because their effort never stopped. Yeah. That place, to me, is the emblem of who they are. He was at half court when that dude got to the top of the key. And he just threw that thing off the glass. And I think it just changed the whole momentum of the game.
Yeah, and when you see that and you watch the highlight over and over again, I can't help but think, and he's coming back next year. Next year, it's going to be a senior center in Keba Keita and not a guy in his first year at BYU. And, man, he's going to be a beast. And you know what? Yeah, there's going to be plenty of open lobs for him because everyone's worrying about some of the other guys.
Yep. Everybody's asking about Yegor. We're going to talk about that in just a sec because we all want him to stay. Trent, thanks for saying woot on the ESPN Plus games. We say woot also. We go woot, woot.
Woot, woot.
And then Matt, he also loved that Keita block against Iowa State. And thanks, Sylvia, for hanging with me on the Kansas blowout. That was a fun one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, so what's happening next? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Here's who's leaving. We're going to break things down for you. Trevin Nell, Fusini Traore, Trey Stewart, and Moet Mag. We knew those were leaving. They were honored on senior night. Those are 4 that are out. Since we were last together, Cannon Catchings and Elijah Crawford jump into the transfer portal. We're not surprised by that.
Right. And that doesn't mean they couldn't come back. I just don't think they will.
Yeah.
And, notice Cannon's being in the portal was at the same time of the announcement of portal transfer in with Dominique Diamande. So we'll talk about him a little bit more. When I think about who's leaving, what's the biggest impact? It might be Mag.
It could be.
But I will say this. Kevin Young, every time we talk to him kind of off the record, raved about Trevin Nell's leadership. So you miss leadership, and Trevin was a knockdown 3-point shooter, one of the top in the country all year long. So, and then Foose, whenever teams decide they're going to go out and cover the perimeter, Foose just took over. You couldn't guard him one-on-one. And then but those two, did I ever think that I would say, man, Trey Stewart and Moet Mag, what a hole they're going to leave.
That's the beauty of a season because you just don't know. That
is so surprising to me, but I'm so happy that we're trying to figure out how to replace those two because what they did defensively changed the way BYU could play. And Mag not only became a great defender, that he started out as a great defender, he ended up being a weapon offensively. And he made a lot of big shots from 3.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And the big reason that they got where they went Chamberlain Burgess, freshman signee, he's going on his mission to El Paso, Texas, leaves July 14th. Yegor Demon, is he staying or is he leaving? I got a story about Yegor's decision at thedeseret.com in the Deseret News today, and it's not an announcement of what he's going to do. It's a story about how it's gotten real complicated.
Yep.
You know, he came in here in a business decision to come here, get prepared for the NBA, go be a lottery pick. And so then, like we've seen, Blaine, with so many people, including our own lives, you come to BYU, your life changes. You meet people that change your life. You get relationships that you want to continue. And most of us at the age of 19 don't have to then decide, do I leave and go to the NBA, or do I stay and do it for at least one more year? That's the decision. It's complicated. The business side is a no-brainer. The life side makes it a little tougher.
It's a little bit tougher. I thought it was interesting when Steve Cleveland came in here and sat right here a couple of weeks ago. He's the first one that I've heard that I consider like a big-time basketball person that said he thought that Yegor should come back. Mm-hmm. And he explained his rationale, and that was, it depends on what Yegor wants to be. Does he want to be a long-term, 10-year NBA guy? Because he has the skill set to do it. He said, because if all he cares about is a signing bonus and making big money, he'll get drafted in the top 15 because somebody will take a chance. He needs some development, needs to gain weight. He said there's a chance, it's not for certain, but a chance he would end up on the bench because in the NBA, all they do is play games. They hardly practice. So development's kind of at a premium. It's hard to get. And 3 years into his contract, he's off for Europe. Now, and Steve wasn't saying that happens, but he's saying there's a chance that happens.
Right.
He goes, or he could come back, put another 15 to 20 pounds on, get physically stronger, be more ready for the NBA game as a 20-year-old, go in and as a top 5 pick, play as a rookie, and end up having a 10-year career. He goes, those are some of the variables to think about. Yeah. I thought that was very eloquent how Steve kind of laid that out. I had not even thought about that angle. And now with AJ coming and the Yegor, you saw his interview after the game when he talked about he just loves the environment. He loves the people.
You see the anguish on his face.
He feels loved. He feels like he's part of a family. Yeah. It's just changed the whole thought process.
You know, and he's tight with the Hansons. They're his American family. His relationship with Delaney Gibb, the star on the women's basketball team, that's legit. You know, that's it's not they're a thing. And you know, and there's futures and there's hopes and dreams from everybody. And it's just not, I did this, now I'm ready to go do that. And I don't know what he's going to do. Earlier I thought he'd come back. He really played well in the tournament, which raised his stock. So there's that pressure to come. Talked to some folks who are close to him. They're kind of thinking he's probably going to go. But man, you know what? None of us at age 19. Some of us had to decide to go on a mission or not at age 19. That was 2 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's different.
Yeah.
Because we're a product of that culture. This is what we do. Man, it's a tough spot for him to be in.
Did you see Michael Zimmerman's comment? It's gone off our screen now, but I was on the chat and he said that Travis Hansen on a podcast had mentioned that Yegor asked him if he was going to be working at BYU next year, because if he was going to be working at BYU, he would come back. Well, if that's all it takes, we will hire Travis.
Yeah.
Right?
Travis is so insightful. He's been on our show a number of times, and he's as tight with
he
Yegor
really
as
is.
anybody.
He spends every Sunday afternoon at the house for dinner. So Belle Biv DeVoe, which I love that reference, one of my favorite bands back in the old days, has been watching for 45 years in one of the greatest football basketball combo years of my lifetime, which is amazing. We're going to give you a stat here in a minute on that.
That's true.
And you've gotten a lot of, which I agree with 100%. Great story, by the way, on Yegor. And then Phil Jenkins says +1 in the Yegor article, true in-depth writing. He has a really good piece. So,
well, thanks. It was just we just laid out the common sense of it all. It's like, hey, why does this is a tough call. When you're 12 years old and you get a chance to be in the NBA, that is not a tough call.
Right.
But when you're 19 and all this stuff going on, and here's what will make it even a little more challenging. Here's who we expect back.
Yeah, well, and this is, by the way, Jet Thompson asks, that's one common element of both BYU football and basketball, excellent senior leadership for both teams. I hope both teams continue with excellent leadership from the upperclassmen. So now let's talk about who's coming back.
We expect Richie Saunders back, and that doesn't mean he might go to the combine and do all that stuff, because you can right up until like June 16th.
I think Richie's coming back. He's got a great NIL deal.
Yeah. He's just getting started with that. Kay Bakeda will be back. Dallin Hall, we expect him back. Mihailo Boskovic. Kadeem Mboop, who sat on the bench after joining the team midway through. He's 6'9". Let me just tell you something. He's a secret weapon.
He's crazy athletic at 6'9".
He's already in. Dawson Baker and Brody Kozlowski. Those are the ones we expect back. Now who's coming to add to that?
Well, and with that group that you just talked about, Richie Saunders is the undisputed leader of this team this year.
Yeah.
Which he will also be again next year. And so there's good leadership. Keba Keita, you always talk about, you got to have a dog on the team. Just a guy that wants to fight somebody and wants to reject shots and be a force. He brought that last year. He's back. He'll give BYU toughness. Dallin Hall was a steady, especially down the stretch. Put him in the game. Stands up to the physicality. Doesn't turn the ball over. So there's another leader. Mihailo got more and more playing time as the season progressed. So he's back. And then Dawson Baker was really solid off the bench. He's a guy that can get his own shot and can go out and score, especially if you get a couple of scores in foul trouble. He can come in and pick up the slack. So I love this core, and there's plenty of leadership in that group right there.
So here's who's coming. The number one recruit in the country, A.J. DeBansa at 6'9". Xavier Staten at 6'11". He's the number 33 player in the country. Yeah. Those are rankings from 24/7 Sports.
And a true rim protector. That 1-2 punch of Keba and Xavier,
that could be something.
That's like some of these, like the UConn team that won it last year had, two big dudes that can really get it done.
Mitch Harper of KSL Sports tweeted out, AJ, I think he said this at the press conference at the McDonald's All-American Week back east. He's going to start classes at BYU on April 29th. That means he'll be here in the gym and in the classroom. And so the circus is going to come a little earlier than we thought.
It's here.
This isn't a late August. He has some things with the United States teams that'll have him hopping around all summer. But he'll be in school April 29th. The newest addition coming from the transfer portal, Dominique Diamande. He's either 6'8" or 6'7". I've seen both those. He's a freshman forward from Washington, joined the Huskies midway through, redshirted, played several years in Europe. And you can see the video of him on social media. I don't know if he's MAG Part 2, but he looks athletic. He looks explosive, same size. And that is the first guy they went and got in the portal, which tells me something. They really want him.
Yeah, and
he's number one.
I just watched his whole highlight film because remember, he came mid-season and redshirted, right? But from the year before over in France, yowza, the dude can play. And he is another crazy athletic guy. You're going to see his highlight film of pushing the ball up the floor and then stepping back and hitting step back threes. Then the next time down the floor, he goes all the way to the rim and 360 windmills the ball. Like he is crazy athletic, another long dude that can play and handle the ball and get out and run in transition.
So as of this morning, there are 1,000 players in the portal.
Is that nuts?
1,000. We haven't had the Final Four yet.
Yeah.
And so BYU maybe has 4 or 5 spots to fill. There's a lot of candidates out there. They got a couple already coming in on visits. And what do they have to sell? They have everything.
Yeah.
They have everything to sell. And AJ as well.
High expectations are what recruits want to hear. Yeah, we expect it, like we want to get to a Final Four next year. And by the way, the transition, we saw it for Yegor, and he did it a little easier than Cannon did, right? Yegor was a little more prepared because of his international play. AJ is he's a different guy. Yeah. Like I think that
he's like ready for that.
I think that if they needed him to, now they don't need him to do this next year. I think he's the kind of guy that as a freshman could score 28 a game if they needed him to.
I think you're right.
But I think they're going to be better off with him getting 20 and
15.
15 to 20 and 10 boards and 6 assists.
Yeah, I know. It
just to add to Richie's 18, 9 boards and whatever.
And maybe Yegor and
there's so much talent on this team.
At the McDonald's All-American Game Media Day today, AJ was asked about playing with Richie next year, and he said, quote, "I'd definitely like to play with him, but he's going to do what's best for him. But if he comes back, I think we'll be something special."
Yeah.
That's AJ today talking about Richie Saunders. By the way, the McDonald's All-American Game starring DeBansa is tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN.
Yeah, if you haven't seen him, take a look.
BYU got tons of PR through the NCAA tournament and the Sweet 16 and Richie with Orida and Tater Tots and all that stuff. Tomorrow night is going to be a 2-hour discussion of DeBansa going to BYU while he's surrounded by all the other 5 stars.
Right.
It's going to be a fascinating thing. ESPN tomorrow night. You don't want to miss it because we've never really had it.
That's right.
And so you got to watch it.
Well, and then what's next after that? Well, guess what? BYU Villanova, Monday, November 3rd at T-Mobile in Las Vegas, our old stomping grounds, your real old stomping grounds. The Wildcats just hired former New Mexico head coach Richard Pitino. And yes, that name does sound familiar, doesn't it? He'll make his debut against the Cougs. So how about that?
I think it's going to be awesome. You know what? I actually wrote something wrong here because he was going to that, and then he turned around and took the Xavier job.
Oh, you're right.
So they're still looking for a guy.
So they don't have a coach.
And so that's my mistake because when I wrote that note, I just seen that in social media, but he was a candidate for it and all that stuff. So we're not sure who their coach is going to be, but we do know that they're going to be at T-Mobile, and we're not sure what network that's going to be, but it's going to be on national TV on opening night for college basketball on Monday, November 3rd.
That'll be fun.
Here's a Final Four of a different sort.
Oh, yeah. There's only 4 schools in the country, the Final Four, whose football teams finished in the top 25 in the country and reached the Sweet 16. Who are those? Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and BYU. 3 SEC teams and BYU.
How about that?
Yeah, that is rarefied air, folks, to do that.
Hey, Joshua on the stream says, watching from Des Moines, thanks for watching us, was able to experience the Cougars beat Iowa State both times in person. For those wondering, Hilton Magic is a great experience, but it is no Marriott Center. Yeah, they always talk about how tough it is to play back there. BYU went back there and beat them. That's awesome. Final Four Saturday, all number 1 seeds, Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn. Who do you got?
I still have Houston. I've said it from the beginning. That's my team because I love the fact that they can have a bad shooting night and they're so good defensively they can still win. And I think even against these teams, Houston's my team.
Yeah, I got Houston too. Lee Camard, women's head coach. We'll talk about that in just a moment, plus some football additions. But it is our pleasure right at this moment to welcome the team captain of Team Navy who put together that victory on Friday. He's also a brand new father, legendary BYU receiver, our colleague at BYU TV. Our pleasure to welcome Austin Collie back to the Wise Guys. Hey, did I get it? Did I get everything in there? And businessman. Do you want me to add the businessman part?
Hey, by the way, Austin got me into an investment, by the way.
It worked out?
It's killing it right now.
Nice
it's
job.
killing it. So
Nice
I have a lot of gratitude for Austin, not only for taking me with the first pick, but it helped me with a couple of good investments for sure. Yep.
Nice job, Austin.
Shout out to Tandem.
Yeah.
Tandem Ventures.
Tandem Ventures is they got us, and Austin does a lot of work with them, but yeah, he got me. It's looking really good, Austin. Thanks for doing that, man. I need more retirement money.
Let's start with a shout out for Brooke. We got this picture.
She's
Austin,
the real all-star.
Delivered a baby boy last week, 8 pounds, 15 ounces. We're going to show that pic on the podcast. Just envision like an angel sent from heaven. But those on the stream can see.
Look at that.
Hey, do we have a name yet?
His name's Mac. M-A-C.
Just Mac. All right.
Mac Collie.
Mac.
Middle name's Austin. It's Mac Austin Collie. So his initials actually spell out Mac.
Not intended. I like it.
How's Brooke doing?
She's doing well. She's doing really well, man. I mean, for the 5th kid at 40, she's a champ.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Congrats,
so
man.
I shouldn't have said just Mac, but there's a family joke. So you know Nicole and Blair, my daughter Nicole and Blair. Austin knows my whole family. Austin's family and my family go back to
way back.
Our daughter Nicole is named after his mom, Nicole. And she always goes by Nikki, but I love Austin's mom and dad. They were at the Alumni Game. I got to spend a little bit of time with them. That's a treat for me just to get together with my old teammate and with his amazing mom. But they named their youngest, or their second youngest, Jack. They took him over to Grandma's house, and she said, now what's his name? And they said, Jack. And she goes, Jack. Just plain Jack. And so now we call him JPJ, just plain Jack. That's what we call him, JPJ.
Just plain Jack.
So I just said, just Mac? Yeah, JM, just Mac.
Hey, Austin, Bullseye on the stream says, sometimes when you invest with Austin, magic happens. So
exactly
right. How about that one?
I mean, I like the sound of that. I'm going to have to tell Tandem they may want to use that.
I like it.
Hey, congratulations on the 25-20 win at the Alumni Game. I want you to do what you do all the time on BYU TV. You speak as you think. So what was Blaine's performance like from your vantage point?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest here. Okay, first series, Blaine, right? Not so hot.
No.
Right? We missed the double move. We had a nice little Dino, little corner post. We threw the corner,
And he was open, and I missed him.
Which is perfectly fine. But I'm going to tell you, Dave, hands down, I was saying to my dad after the game, I wish someone had the back end view of that game-winning touchdown that Blaine threw, because it was next level. Like I don't think anybody watching the stream can get an idea of just how tough of a throw and window he had to complete that ball in. And it was like, I'm not kidding you, it was next level. Like I want the footage, the behind the behind the QB kind of angle to just show how difficult of a throw that was, because that was insane.
You're too nice.
That was a throw that night.
It's interesting because it's the first time all night I actually threw it as hard as I could throw it, because I was afraid if I threw it as hard as I could throw it, I would like injure my shoulder. And then Austin said, okay, Rob's going to run the back of the end zone. We're running these outs on the play side. There can be a small window. You're going to have to drill it. I'm like, okay. And I was like, man, I got those 2 picks to make up for, so I'm going to throw it as hard as I can throw it when that window opens up. And if my shoulder goes out, it'll be the last throw of the night. And by golly, I could still throw it hard, and my shoulder didn't go out. That was the most biggest surprise, that the shoulder didn't go out. And then Gavin's still mad about it because he and I were watching it on the tape. And he's like, Dad, he wasn't even open. And I go, no, he was open enough. Because Gavin was covering the backside and walled him, and it went right past Gavin's arm just as Rob cleared him in between the backers. And he's like, dude, he goes, that was a crazy catch and a crazy throw. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad that was my last throw, and that I don't have to think about those stupid picks in the first half and not knowing where I was throwing the ball. But
hey, once that game starts,
listen, it's tough.
Yeah, once that game starts, it's just magical.
It was so fun.
Players young at heart, but in older bodies, and they revert to kids, teammates for 90 minutes or so. And you were out there in the middle of it calling all those plays. How much fun was the whole thing?
Oh, man, it's so much fun. And you want to know what makes it fun is I felt like I had a great group of guys. I told them at the very beginning, the thing that makes this the most fun is if everybody invests into it and like buys in, right? Like if everybody can just, compete to win, that's going to make it probably the most, the best experience, the most exciting experience, not only for the fans, but for everybody else playing in it. And because I was a part of it, and the year that we did it, there were, and I'm guilty of this myself, but you play a couple snaps and you'd be like, all right, I'm going to pull off, I'm going to hit the sidelines and just chat it up with the guys.
Yeah.
And that's fun, but it's not as fun as it was on Friday night, because every single one of our guys was bought in, man. Like they wanted to win, and that just took it to another level.
Yeah, my favorite play might have been when Fahu caught the touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Because he kind of broke open late, and Charlie made a great throw to him, and he comes down with the ball, and then Jake's right over there, and he says, what did you see? And he goes, I didn't see anything. The ball hit me in my arms, and I caught it and fell over.
Yeah, that was the best
But we were all so, just the reaction of everybody, we were all so pumped for Fahu to make that catch. That was it's just so fun to be out there with him when he did.
Yeah, everyone jumping on him. I was glad he got back up.
Yeah.
And a big smile on his face. Former BYU star Austin Collie's on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. The Alumni Game creates a vibe for the new season. It's 5 months away, but there's fans in the stands, and folks watching on BYU TV just ate it up. How eager are you for the August kickoff after walking off that field Friday night?
Oh, man. I'll tell you, it's the worst. This is the worst after March Madness and after the Masters. It's a very dark time in the Collie household, right? Like the sports we're interested in watching are over.
Yeah. And
it's just nothing. And no offense to baseball, but I can't watch baseball. I can't get invested into baseball on the television. It's a sport you got to go witness live, right? But so it's up until now, or from now till week 1 of college, man, or NFL preseason. It's a dark time in the Collie household.
Well, hang in there.
Hey, Retzlaff did. But I was just telling Dave before we went on there, I'm like, man, Jake actually did a great job on the mic breaking down things. Although there was that time in the first half after I threw the pick, and he was just ragging on all the quarterbacks, and he didn't realize that I had an earpiece in my ear the whole time. And I walked over while he was on the air, and I go, Jake, I have an earpiece in. I can hear everything you're saying, and I'm right here. He's like, oh, dude, oh. So
I talked to Jake today. He's still feeling good about his performance.
He did great, but now let's break him down a little bit, Austin. Like, what do you need to see from Jake as a leader, and what does he need to do with these receivers in the offseason to be better prepared for fall camp so they take a step forward this year?
I don't know. I think the leadership role, and I think this is naturally going to happen with Jake, just given the fact that he's got one more year and he had so much success. I think last year's success, the momentum he's going to be carrying into this next season, is going to be such a difference maker because of the national recognition and the notoriety that he has been getting. You can't underestimate what that does for a player. So I am super excited to see week one, how he comes out. I think it's going to be far different than the way he came out this last year. I mean, even though the year prior he had a little bit of experience, I mean, he was on the national scale, right? He was in the national spotlight and continues to be. I mean, I was with Peyton and Archie a couple months ago, and Archie leaned over to me and goes, how about that QB that you guys have at BYU? And the fact that, guys like that are taking notice of what he did this past year, I mean, and what that does for Jake's confidence and what it will do is only going to just be, I mean, it's just going to continue to compound. And, that's only going to have a quarterback to have that much confidence. I mean, it is honestly going to trickle down to every facet of that offense and every position.
It's interesting. When Steve Young came on the show back in the fall, he was saying the most important thing for a quarterback is to own the data, right? Like, you have to know everything about what's going on. Big lesson that I remembered even more when I was playing the other day is we're looking at plays on the cards, and I'm thinking, man, I don't know who's supposed to do what against which coverage. I can't even remember what the backside routes are by the time I get to the line of scrimmage. Like, when you're playing quarterback, it's like, okay, on this route, it's inside out away from Mike. So Mike is my first read. If they roll to two, I'm going to do this. You know where everybody is on the field. You played with guys that absolutely owned the data. Like Max at BYU, like he knew where everybody was and what was going on. I don't know if there's any better than Peyton Manning and Tom Brady at owning the data and the history of the game. But you as a receiver, these guys own the data, but you have to earn their trust. They have to go, I know the data, and I know that if Austin is in this exact spot, this is going to be a completion. What did you have to do as a receiver to earn the trust of those guys? Because that's something big for those guys that were as good as they were to go, if he's in the right, if the read sends me to Austin, I'm going to Austin because I trust him. How did you build that with those guys?
Yeah, I think it has to do with consistency and route running and catching the ball, right? I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. I think, there's some receivers, man, that run, can run great routes, but they're coming out of their breaks in an inconsistent manner. They're coming out of their breaks at different angles, depending on different coverages, or even if they're seeing the same coverage, depending on their footwork at the top, they're not coming out at the same depth, same angle consistently, which, to me, I think is, my goal is always to be able to run a route. And if the quarterback is blindfolded, he could throw to a spot and know that spot, and I would know that spot well enough to where, he really wouldn't need to look over there or really wouldn't need his eyes to throw it. Right. And that just comes down to consistency and route running, knowing your depths and being at the right spot at the right time. And then just catching the ball. Right. Like, I think ultimately, man, guys are going to be guarded, but if a quarterback feels like no matter how covered you are, you're still going to come down with the ball like that. I mean, that confidence is that's hard to replace. That's hard to replicate.
I asked you about this to think about it coming into our interview tonight because we were going to ask you, and Blaine mentioned those three quarterbacks you played for. What was the moment, if there was one, when you realized that you had earned their trust? Let's start with Max Hall, who you caught a number of balls and touchdowns from, made him famous and all that stuff. But what was the moment with Max where you go, you know what, I got him?
I think with Max is a little different, just because of my proven track record before. He and I had known each other. We had worked actually at camps together. So we had done BYU camps together and been on the same 7-on-7 team at BYU camps. And so, I think he was looking forward to me getting home off my mission, especially given what I did my freshman year. And immediately I feel like, I was kind of a built-in guy for him. And then, just making sure that I stay reliable was the biggest thing. I think for Peyton, the moment I realized I had his trust or that I kind of graduated was going into the first week of playoffs. We're playing Baltimore. We had a first round bye. And my rookie year, he was hard on me, right? Like he had expectations. I mean, I was the only change. I was the only change pretty much in that huddle from their 2006 Super Bowl team, right? So I kind of had a lot of pressure on making sure that I knew the playbook and that there was no drop off from the years prior, given the fact that I was that only change. And so he was hard on me at a pretty high standard and had high expectations for me. But then he finally came to me going into playoffs and took me aside and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know, the reason why I'm so hard on you is because I know where you can get to. Like, I know where your potential is. And I know how good of a player you are." And so from that moment on, man, I knew, like, all right, this guy knows what I'm capable of, and trusts me. And, it's my job to make sure that I live up to it.
Yeah.
For Tom, I don't know. I don't think I had enough time with him. Yeah. Right. So, I think I only caught I want to say 12 passes on the year. But part of that was I was injured, so I had a rehab, et cetera. But never really had that chance.
He didn't ride you like Peyton? Tom was nicer to you?
No, because I think at that point in time, I'd already kind of proven myself, right? So, he was picking my brain more than anything about what we were doing over in Indy.
Yeah,
and Indy was like leading the way on offensive philosophy and, man, just wide open passing game.
Yeah,
Peyton was throwing it all over the place to these guys. That was a fun time with the Colts.
Hey, we told you we'd be quick with you because now you've got a new infant and all that stuff to take care of. So we appreciate you jumping on with us tonight.
We don't want Brooke to be mad at us for sure.
We're in Brooke's fan club, so we want to stay there.
Typical dad fashion, I got to run to Home Depot right now.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
The baby's room.
Get there. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, gents. Good talking to you.
Great coaching the other night.
Blaine, throw of the night, Blaine.
Yeah.
Throw of the night. That was top tier stuff, dude.
I love it.
Listen, you want to know as a head coach.
Yeah,
if you retire now, you'll never lost.
And by the way, Austin's already declared we're keeping the team together.
Is that right?
It's like in basketball, when you're winning, you just stay out on the court. And so we're going to bring back the whole same team. Court. And you can put the challenges together. And now that we know what we're doing, we're not going to have that slow start with picks and stuff. We're just going to whoop on somebody next year.
Okay, all right. We've heard it here.
So,
thanks, brother. Congrats again.
All right, gents. We'll see you.
Thanks, Austin. See you, buddy.
That's Austin Collie, one of the greatest ever suit up at BYU. Now he's 1-0 as a coach. He can relate to Lavelle and everybody now, and don't think he won't be bringing that up throughout all of our coverage this fall on BYU TV. A couple of football notes, and then we'll bring in Keone Thiim from the volleyball team, and we are so thrilled to have him with us on the Wise Guys. The Alamo Bowl put out some financials from the Economic Analytics Consulting LLC from that big game back in December. Yeah. It takes them a while to figure out economic impact and all of that. So BYU wins the game 36-14, but that is just part of the story.
Right. And the reason everybody's like, why are they putting two Big 12 teams together? They knew that those two teams, with Deion at Colorado and BYU as well as they played and as good as they were, would be a giant draw nationally, and that proved to be the case. $59 million economic impact to San Antonio. That's the second highest in Alamo Bowl history.
They had over 44,000 visitors to town, which is why these bowls have bowls. These cities host bowls to get tourists to come in. So I'm sure the lines were long on the Riverwalk to get to the good food. The most watched Alamo Bowl in history, we knew that. That's 8 million on ABC. And then next year, it's the Big 12 against the Pac-12 again, the 10 former Pac-12 teams and Oregon State and Washington State. So, in theory...
could be BYU Colorado again.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up the bowls with the lingering Pac-12 stuff.
I'm going to make a prediction, though.
But that's what they're doing.
BYU's going to be the college football playoff next year, so they don't need to worry about it.
That's great. I love that prediction. Did you see Deion's new contract?
Oh, yes.
5 years, $54 million. He's going to be earning $10 million next season when the Cougars go to Boulder on September 27th. They'll be battling a $10 million man across on the other sideline. Now, we won't have the Heisman Trophy winner. His son won't be the quarterback.
Yeah.
But there will be Deion.
Oh, and
$10 million bucks isn't going to make any tackles in that game.
He attracts talent. Let's face it. He attracts talent. So they're going to be a very talented team, but they'll have more new faces than BYU, and I think the result will be similar in that one. Interesting note on Sanders' contract is that if he leaves for another job before December 31st, he's got to pay Colorado $12 million.
He's got to pay.
Out of his pocket, a $12 million buyout.
We haven't heard that in any kind of a deal.
No, but that's like, okay, we're going to sign this.
We'll pay you a bunch.
This is crazy money, but you got to be committed.
If you leave, you got to pay us back.
Yes.
So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's Deion making history over there in Colorado. Men's volleyball is 16-7 on the year, 3-3 in the MPSF. Number 7 again.
Do the rankings come out again
rankings.
tomorrow? They come out tomorrow, right?
They come out today. Track and field comes out tomorrow.
Track and field's tomorrow. Okay.
So they're number 7, and then Thursday and Friday, Stanford and BYU. DJ's trying to move around here to hook up some
do we have
headphones.
to pay you because you made an appearance? Yeah. Here comes DJ. We have
That's
to every
costing
time.
us every.
And here's what he did. He ducked out and came back on because now we got to pay him for 2 appearances, right?
The table, yeah. Hurry up, DJ. You're costing us a fortune.
It's three appearances. We got to pay for 3 appearances now.
Stanford at BYU Thursday and Friday, 7 Mountain Time on BYU TV. It's Thursday, Friday this week because of General Conference, which is a Saturday, Sunday. And so I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have a big game on a Thursday night. And if you've been to a volleyball game this season or watched the Cougars on BYU TV, you'll be very familiar with our next guest.
Yeah, here, and we're going to put his mic more like, let me do this. Like, we'll do it more like.
He's 6 feet tall with a 45-inch vertical, allows him to fly through the air, a human highlight film, and we're thrilled to welcome Keone Thiim to the Wise Guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
We were thrilled when we caught the right window heading into a big match.
Yes.
Describe the feeling that one gets when you leap through the air with a 45-inch vertical.
I think I have a little bit more time than others up there.
Because you just hang, right?
Got a little extra time to think. But really just thinking about the ball, just blasting it. So.
Yeah.
Well, not many have it. And there are tremendous athletes in your sport and NBA and everywhere that requires leaping and jumping. But you have a gift. When did you realize that even at 6 feet, you can play like a 6'8" guy?
When I realized that D1 only has 6'8" guys. So I was like, I'm going to have to do something. So I started really getting into the weight room at that point.
Was that the key? A natural gift in some ways?
But you had to have some natural jumping ability to begin with, right?
I don't think I had natural jumping ability, but genetically, I think my growth in terms of like my lifting was a lot more linear for my vertical than the average person, I'd say. So I didn't really jump that high. I don't even think I was in the 30s when I first started. But like the more I squatted with good form and the more I ate good and like got stronger squat, it was pretty linear. Like the stronger I got, the higher I started to be able to jump.
Picked up 15 inches?
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Took a couple of years, but it kind of just gradually went up.
When did you go break the 40-inch barrier? Was that in high school?
I think,
or was it in college?
I started competitive volleyball my junior year of high school, and I was a really twiggy kid up until then. Like played football until my sophomore year, broke my arm, and then I just started playing volleyball after that.
What position did you play in football?
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Broke it clean.
Oh yeah, I see you had to have surgery. So they put a plate on there.
2 plates. Yep. Both. It came out.
Did you make the catch?
It was a kick return. I was like 45 yards away from the guy with the ball, and then some guy just wanted a highlight block. I wasn't even looking.
Oh,
So
really?
blindside block got you.
Blindside. I was maybe a buck. I weighed like a buck, maybe soaking wet.
Yeah.
And those guys in Hawaii, like, they're 200 pounds by 13 years old. So I'm just they threw me like a rag doll.
Who were you playing? Do you remember the team you were playing
I was
against?
playing Roosevelt High School. They had some big boys that time.
Yeah, Roosevelt's got some boys.
Yeah.
So
What do opponents? What do you see from the opponents? Are they surprised when you come to the net and they see how high you can jump?
I think at this point, everyone kind of knows. I've been in college for like 3 or 4 years now, so I think the scouting report is there for sure. But yeah, like when I first come into practice gyms, I can tell guys like, oh, nice.
yeah, and I come quite a bit, and I sit on the front row right behind the service line.
Oh, nice.
I don't say anything, only to the opponents.
Nice.
We
need that.
I say a little bit of crazy crap to them, but we watch you, and when I see you go up and put a roof on somebody's shot, somebody try to kill the ball, and he's just like, I'm thinking, man, I can look under his feet to the guy on the other side, right? When I can look under your feet to the guy on the other side, so as many times as I've seen you do it, I still am in awe every time I see you do something like that, or go and go attack and hit a kill where you're just right over the top of the block, or hit it off the angle. Does it surprise you at all? Do you ever get surprised yourself, or are you just so used to it now that you're just like, no, that's what I do?
There are some games, like I will say, because mine's isn't necessarily like a just natural jumping ability. Like if my legs are tired, I'm not jumping as high. But like during games when I have adrenaline, sometimes I'm like, well, I'm kind of floating up there these days. So it's like it's kind of up and down. It's kind of up and down how my legs are feeling. But sometimes I'm like, oh wow, I think I'm getting up.
What's harder with your leap at the net or when you're serving? Because you throw the ball up there and then you jump as high as you can and smack that. What's the harder play?
I think probably at the net.
At the net.
Because when you're serving, you kind of control it yourself. You do your own toss, whatever you like. Like if you're blocking or if you're hitting, you kind of either have to read the hitter, which changes your approach, which means you can't really focus fully on jumping.
Yeah.
Or if like the set comes out a different way, then you kind of have to focus on that. If you get a good toss off your own serve, you basically just got to jump as high as you can, blast it.
So, some people are 2-footed jumpers, and in volleyball, you're mostly 2-foot jumping. And other people can jump higher off of 1 foot. Like if you're going down with a basketball and you're going to shoot a layup, but you're going up of 1 foot. Is your vertical higher off of 1 feet or 2?
No, it's definitely 2.
You're definitely a 2-foot
I think
jumper.
it's way lower off of 1. Like I don't think I could dunk off of 1.
Yeah,
but
Michael Jordan's a 1-foot guy. Like you just 1 foot and go up and just kill it, right?
Yeah, but I can easily dunk off of 2. But like 1, I don't even know.
See, that's the question that a lot of people want to ask, and we're asking you here. Jess wants to know if you did high jump in track. Did you do that?
I didn't do track. I didn't because it was in high school. It's the same season.
That's
spring
right.
around, so we couldn't really do it.
Okay, so no track. So what can you do? By the way, Guyana, French Guyana is on the live stream tonight.
That's
so
pretty cool.
that
Yeah,
takes
we
us
usually are in five or
Joyce.
6 continents on the show.
Nice.
So
we get some Hawaii folks too. It's a
we
little
have Hawaii.
earlier over there in Hawaii.
We always get the Philippines and then Singapore, which are like 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
Japan,
and Japan comes
They're
on.
up and ready.
Oh,
Yeah. BYU fans all over the country, as you've learned, right?
So, Keone, what can you do with a basketball? That's what the number one question we get is if he can do that with a volleyball, what could you do at the Marriott Center?
I can do some dunks. I don't play basketball, so in terms of like basketball technique or anything, like I mean, half the time when I dunk, I'm not used to the ball. It'll like slip out of my hands. But like,
but you have to dunk with 2 hands because you don't have those giant hands to just palm the ball.
Yeah, I can use one, but I kind of just have to like hold it back here and then
and just cup
try
it in?
Yeah, just throw it. But like, I don't think jumping's my problem. I'm just not used to holding the basketball because the volleyball's smaller, so I always like lose it or throw it on the backboard or something.
So can you flat-footed jump up and dunk it?
Yes, I wouldn't say just like if I'm not. I think I'd have to be warm for that one.
Yeah,
But if you're warm, you could just stand under the hoop and jump up and dunk it.
Yes.
And you're 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Yeah. See, that fascinates both of us.
That's nuts. So with a little like how you step into like if especially if you're playing from the back line, you got to come up and somebody sets you. You're going to take a few steps and then 2-foot jump and fly in the air. If you do that with a basketball at the rim, like can you do some crazy stuff with it? Even in volleyball, could you dunk like in a rim? Can you like throw it down?
I can throw volleyball a lot easier than I can basketball, just because I lose the grip of the basketball. But there are a lot of good volleyball players who can dunk like really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm one of them. I can just because I jump high and stuff, but like I think I've only done a windmill like once or twice on a good day.
So if the volleyball team had a dunk contest, who'd
win that one?
On our team?
Yeah.
Tion used to play basketball.
Yeah.
And he gets up pretty high.
He played basketball down in Vegas growing up, right? I think.
Did he?
Yep, I believe he did. A lot of guys on our team played basketball before.
Yeah.
I think if Jack Sutton's feeling good, he might be able to throw a couple down. I saw before practice we were warming up. Talon postered our 6'8" setter.
Is that right?
And we were warming up and we were like, "Whoa!" I mean, that was a funny moment. Everyone was cracking up at that one. So I mean that's a big boy. He can get up and throw the ball down though. I don't think I'd win. So.
It's interesting. You have jumpers in both sports, but if the basketball team went over to challenge you guys in volleyball, they wouldn't have a chance, and vice versa.
And vice versa, we'd get
But I think Kaba's brother might be good.
Yeah, he's good.
Kaba's brother's one of the best volleyball players in the world. Plays in France professionally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 6'9",
and he's 6'9" like Kaba and has a 42-inch vertical.
Yeah. That's
you don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That's what they are overseas. So
Yeah. But when you come up, like I always watch the beauty of you flying through the air, especially if you're coming from the back line to kill the ball. But there's just so much more. We had BYU's place kicker, Will, on talking about the game winner against Utah, and he immediately was like, oh, yeah, if the snap's not perfect and the hold's not perfect, and it's like I don't have a chance to just knock that thing through the pipe. So so when you're coming, how much of a great play at the net depends on other people, and what all comes into that when you get that perfect opportunity and you just kill it either into somebody's head or down onto the floor someplace. What has to happen for that to be perfect for you to be able to do that?
it's kind of a rhythmic thing. People don't realize in the D1 space is like we have so much scouting, and like setters is kind of the quarterback of the team, and passing, it's kind of a rhythmic thing. If our passing is consistently good from the beginning, the setters are able to have more options, because depending where the pass is, some options are like they probably can't set this guy depending where the pass is. So if the passes have been perfect, the setter can kind of choose his offense, and the blockers have to respect it more, and they have to kind of wait. And then if the setter gets flowing, then it's like basically it's like how much trouble can we get the other team's 3 blockers in, because they have jobs, but they have to block more hitters. There's more hitters than blockers, so they have to think about their jobs. And if we're playing correctly, consistently, eventually the setter can kind of flick it where it's like you only have one-on-one. Because like our team, like sometimes in scouting reports, if the pass is off, like it's me and Luke. They know it's going to me and Luke, so we get 6 hands up, and it's a harder swing. But if things are flowing and the passes are well, we can set our offense in like any which way we want. Like sometimes we'll have 1 to nobody up, and that's when it's like salivating it. You just crack it as hard as you can. And
do you ever feel bad smacking it off somebody's face? Have you ever thought, hey, sorry about that?
No, definitely not. Maybe like in high school, you go do your respectful stuff and go say sorry. But for the most part, they're trying to kill us, we're trying to kill them. So
yeah. But
it's always good at the end. We're respectful about it.
Jail wants to know what's your fastest serve?
Fastest serve, I hit 82 this
82?
season. Yeah, against USC.
You have a lot in that 77, 78, like almost very consistently 77, 78, that range, right?
Yeah, so I think last year it was 78 was my highest, and then this year I'm pretty good. I'll be up in the 77, 78, 79 if I'm feeling good. And I hit 82 against USC. They dimed that one though. I was like, oh wow. Nice pass. But.
Yeah. And when you talk about the pass, like everybody watched the set and the kill, but when that ball gets served from the other side, or you hit a kill and they dig it out, that pass is as important as anything, right?
Oh, it's super important.
And USC was really good then. I was at that game. They were so good. Their passing was so good.
Yeah.
That night, you just got to give them credit.
Right? I mean, we had a lot of aces. Their digging was very good that game. I would say their serve receive was a little shaking because we had like by the end of the game we had like 13 and I had 7, and usually you win the game if you have that many aces, but they had a lot of digs, which is usually harder. That was incredible by them for sure.
When you hit your 80-mile-an-hour serve and you throw it up high and you do a jump serve, and the ball clears the net and it's got a ton of top spin on it because the ball just goes and it just dives down, and they've got to try to judge that. How do you get the ball to top spin that much with your hand? What do you do?
It also depends on the spin. So like I especially being in Utah with the altitude being a little bit higher, making sure the ball is spinning as fast as I can toss it.
So when you toss it, you have it spinning forward?
I have it spinning forward. So when I go and then the main thing you learn like when you're young is you snap your wrist. So we're not kind of just swinging like a lever. We'll swing and we'll snap our wrist. So that's where the ball will kind of spin even more, and then go down if you have the right trajectory. So it's like a lot of spin and a lot of snap. And
so Jeff wants to know, do you notice the difference with how a volleyball reacts at high altitude versus sea level?
I think there is a difference for sure. Like when we go travel and then come back, I can feel the difference in a little bit. I think just a lot of teams like overthink it and they're like, okay, I got to serve it different because the altitude's different. It's not that much different. Like if you just do your normal serve, you'll probably make majority of them in. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's kind of like a placebo type of thing where teams come up and they're like, all right, it's Utah. Like we gotta focus on our serves, and then I think it just gets in their heads and they start sailing them out.
That's one of the things I say to the guys that are serving from the other team. I always go, at this elevation, if you don't pretend like this net is 2 feet higher, you'll hit it into the net.
Yeah. So you got to focus a little bit.
They don't want to hear you'll hit it into the net. This is the last thing they hear before they throw the ball up. So,
well, for the altitude, it'll make it go out more rather than go in the net because the ball kind of floats.
It'll carry a little more than usual. Yeah. Well, you played at sea level.
I did.
Over in Honolulu.
Mm-hmm.
I played for the Warriors last season. Mm-hmm. But you had 1 year of eligibility remaining, and you decided to come over here.
I did.
So tell us what went into that decision-making process and why you decided to come to BYU.
It was a long journey. I definitely was a part of some crazy teams at UH. It was nice, and kind of that leadership group started to leave, and I don't think I achieved really personally what I wanted to there yet, and it was kind of too much of a risk because I kind of knew what was going to happen if I stayed. So I was like, it's my last year of college, like, do I want to take the risk on like somebody else's control, or basically I kind of just wanted to bet on myself to see if I can kind of achieve what I thought my potential was, basically. So I kind of talked to Sean in the transfer portal and came over here. And
why were you thinking BYU? There's a bunch of places.
Yeah, I didn't really have, like, I could have talked to other coaches, but I didn't really think it lined up anywhere else perfectly. I have family up here. BYU is definitely in the budget range, especially being LDS. So that was a big part of it. And like I had some Hawaii guys up here playing on the team, like Noah, like I know those guys. And plus I just have a lot of family and I kind of just like have been here before. So, and being as blessed as I was at UH with the crowd that they have, like it might've been a little harder to go play at another volleyball school where like nobody really watches it.
Even if they're good, they don't get the kind of environment.
Yeah. Like, I mean, UCI is getting a big showing these days. Long Beach obviously gets a big showing, but, like all the other teams, like UCLA, nobody really goes to those games, even though they're incredible.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other teams that are great, like nobody really goes to watch a game. So I was kind of spoiled in that sense, being at UH, who they live and die volleyball out there. So that was another big part. I was like, I know the Smith is the only thing competing with UH, like in terms of that. And I'm at the end of the day, isn't it? It's the entertainment business. I like.
Sure, you're a showman.
I like putting smiles on faces. It's fun to me. So that was another reason why I came here for sure.
Yeah. BYU star Keone Thiim is on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. There's an interesting connection. I want to make sure I get this right. Your grandfather, Mike Wilton, winningest volleyball coach in UH history.
Yep.
Also former assistant at BYU.
Yep.
The first roommate of Rick Olmstead when he attended BYU Hawaii. Rick's the father of current BYU coach Sean Olmstead. So do you see how it all came together for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a small world moment. I think I broke Rick's finger at when I was playing junior college at Santa Barbara. He was the ref.
Oh no!
And we were winning, and I was like, I'm blasting this serve, and I launched it, and his hands were like on top of the pole. I hit his finger. I think I busted it, but that was a funny memory. So hopefully, I was
that the first time you apologized to an official?
Yeah, for sure. I was hoping it wasn't going to bite me in the butt when I wanted to come here. You broke my dad's finger. And I was like, oh, nah.
You got heritage and connection to Sean and his family, but you got a great family heritage as well. What does that mean to you, both on and off the court?
Man, it's gotten me so far. Like, I've had some hard times at UH for sure. And anytime anything got hard, it always kind of humbled me to know that my corner was so big. I have so many people who kind of lift me up when I'm down, or always checking me after they like thought it was a bad game or whatever. Like there's always someone there. Someone's talking to me, and like sometimes I'm just like, but at the end of the day, like makes me so grateful. My corner's crazy. I know, like I have no doubt in my heart that I got like supporters who love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that way he used that term. Did you get that? And I've never heard anybody say it. I've got a big corner.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a huge support group in
yeah.
your corner, but I've never
Big
heard
time.
anybody refer to it that way, and I love that reference.
Yeah.
Got a big corner.
How have you balanced spirituality with sports at this level?
I mean, I think it came hand in hand. Like, I mean, I grew up in the church,
Yeah.
but I was kind of a rascal kid, like bad grades. I was always getting in trouble. I was the middle child. Like, I would go to church because I had to, and I would just mess around with the other kids there and wrestle. And I didn't pay attention in class, or like seminary, I was sleeping the whole time. Like, but like when volleyball got serious for me junior year, and I was like, that's where kind of the dream kind of started for me. It kind of came hand in hand. I started like actually gaining my own spirituality and kind of going to church on my own, and like just like learning and praying and building my own relationship with God. And I think it just like through that journey, like all my years of UHL Santa Barbara, it's like I've prayed to him about it all the time. And I think that's my biggest like relation to him, is anything that happens with my volleyball career, because I just care so much about it. And like, so it's definitely hand in hand for sure.
It seems like a natural fit here, where you can celebrate both. And physical confidence, we've seen carries over into performance. Spiritual confidence carries over to performance. It's got nothing to do about church, but everything to do about you and when you go out there.
No, absolutely. There are some games where I feel like I'm talking to God the whole game. And like some of those games, like I'm fired up, I'm locked in. I feel like I'm not only playing for myself, like I'm kind of like everyone kind of does their own thing. And I think like everyone has some type of passion that like is beautiful or something like that. And like sometimes I really accept that this is mine and this is my way to like, especially because I'm a showman and I jump high, and a lot of kids like to watch me play. Like it gives me the opportunity to like, you know, I always put God first on my social media whenever, like I'll always kind of remember to, I also think it's like an opportunity for me to like obviously spread the word of Christ and kind of lead people to get their own relationship with him, because it's always done me so well. So it definitely, in my performances, there have been some where I feel like I'm just like, it's just me and him. I'm talking and I'm learning, and it's nice.
That connection to God, and certainly you had teammates at UH that had similar backgrounds, but here at BYU, what's it like to know you got a bunch of teammates and an entire Smithfield house full of folks that have that similar background and believe similarly and come from the same faith? What's that like?
It's interesting. It's like a different type of love and proudness that I kind of have to represent it. Like, it's interesting because like obviously I've been through a lot with the UH guys, and it's my home, so I love it and I represent it. But it's like a different type of love, honestly. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but like let's say I'm at UH, and I love those guys and we've been through a lot. Like, but if like guys are like making fun of them across the net or like talking bad about them, like I'll probably just join in and just be like, yeah, bro, like whatever. Like you're this, you're that. Like I kind of just make fun of them and like let them do their own thing. But like here, like if someone's like talking trash across the net to these guys, it's like a different type of love. I'm just like, I get super,
It's
I'll get
personal.
fired up. I'm like, all right, well, what are you talking about my boy for? Like, that's not like Santa Barbara. I think I got fired up against Santa Barbara. But it's like, because these guys are so good and they like have a relationship with God, and I feel like they're fighting the good fight. It's like, kind of I want to see them do good, and I don't really want.
Good stuff. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com tonight with BYU volleyball star Keone Thiim. Stanford comes to town to the Fieldhouse Thursday and Friday. These are always tremendous matchups. How fired up are the guys for this one?
Absolutely super fired up. Stanford's a pretty good team. They've had a big win. They beat Hawaii, and we're coming off a bye. We had a long weekend. So we've kind of just been watching big games with like the USC, the Long Beach game and the UCI and stuff like that. So when you just get to watch and you got to wait. So I think today was pretty fired up at practice. We got a couple of days to get after it, and yeah, we're excited for sure.
As you've looked at the game plan specifically for them, if you could give us like two keys to victory, what are the two biggest keys for you guys to have a win in these two matches?
Definitely scrappy defense and good serve receive, because they're a team that goes fast and they don't necessarily do traditional big high balls and swing, and they kind of go fast and swipe or fast and tip, and they try to sneak things through, create chaos. So we kind of got to try and manage that chaos, play good defense. It's not going to be clean defense. We're probably going to have to be running around, diving for tips and swipes and stuff, because that's kind of their play style. And then just serve receive. If we can be in system and serve receive, the game becomes 10 times easier, because I don't think they have like huge bombs, but a lot of them are just keeping it in. So we got to play our game and serve receive. So definitely serve receive and scrappy defense for sure.
Place will be rocking, especially this one. So as a newcomer to the program, and we touched it on a moment ago, but I wanted to get your take on it. In that environment, playing volleyball, and there's a reason why you don't play at the Marriott Center, even though you could get like 16,000 fans in there.
Yeah.
But in that environment, with the crowd, and you're 45-inch vertical, does that energy actually help you jump higher?
Oh, absolutely.
Give us what's the feel like? What do you feed off in there?
Absolutely. I think like on a good day in practice, I think I'm jumping 45. On a good day in a game, when you're just hearing everyone and the Rock being the Rock, and just how much they love watching us and like want to see us win, like we're not only playing for us, definitely. Like we're playing for them, and it fires us up. Like seeing them do their chants and stuff in the middle of the sets. Like I'm probably jumping around 47 around there. It just like, and especially if we're playing like lower level teams where I'm like, all right, I got to do something to fire up these guys, because like they came here to watch us. Like let's do something cool, and I'll like try to run some play or something, because they've definitely helped us win some games. Yeah. I'll give them like the energy they bring have single-handedly helped us win some games. So it's like sometimes you want to try, put on a show, give back to them.
It's been cool how volleyball for a long, long time has filled that place. Mm-hmm. And when the women and their season, they fill it there too. Mm-hmm. What is it? We're not a beach school. What is the connection between your campus peers and your team? I
haven't met a lot of campus peers, I gotta say. I graduated, so my classes are minimal. But I mean, it's like one of the biggest secrets in NCAA, man. Everyone, it's growing so fast because people are starting to realize, like, whoa, like this is a high level sport. This is fast. This is interesting. So it's like they've just been loyal to it. They found out earlier. So other states and other places are kind of finding out, and we're trying to get more schools up. So it's just like one of those places where they kind of just found out the secret early. It was fun.
They get it.
Yeah, they get it.
They get it. Before you came in the studio, we were talking about you, the fact that you were going to come today, and I mentioned to everybody, I said, the first time I saw you play, I immediately started to compare you to one of my favorite players in BYU history, Ozzie Antoinetti. Okay. Are you familiar with him?
It sounds familiar, but I'm kind of blanking on it.
So he played a long time ago, but
was he bald at one point?
Was Ozzie bald?
Was he a lefty? Like Sean's era?
He's I think he might have been right before Sean, but I think he's from Puerto Rico. Okay. Played on their national team.
And he was small.
An All-American. He's like 6'1", 48-inch vertical. He's in the student-athlete building. They have a thing up on the thing that shows what his vertical is. And the first time I saw you come from the back line and kill one, I was like, oh my gosh, he reminds me of Ozzie Antoinetti. And that's a lot of years before I've ever compared anybody to him, because he could fly like you. And I wondered if you even knew who he was. And if you haven't, I want you to go watch some video of him.
I think I know what you're talking about. I believe one time we were eating dinner, or like maybe a pregame meal, and they kind of in the film room, and they threw up an old game on the projector, and I'm definitely it was when they were really good.
Yeah, they were very good.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're talking about.
He would come from the back line, and I feel like he would leap, and he would almost like lean, so he was like almost like he was flying like sideways. Yeah. And then left-handed, just bam. And I would go, oh, that's the thing of beauty.
Especially being a lefty,
ask Sean, say to Sean, hey, Blaine said you need to get some old tape out and show me Ozzie, because
Blaine went old school on you.
Yeah, I went really old school on you. Really old school.
I got to get more film on it.
Let's say a kid's coming in and he's pretty good, and he's trying to decide where he wants to go to school, and he gets 5 minutes with you. And what's the BYU pitch? Why would he want to come here?
Why would you not?
Okay, that's like a 3-second pitch. But what do you tell a guy that's looking? Because you were looking.
A young high school kid is definitely looking like the crowd is probably going to be the biggest hook.
Really?
When I was young, I was like, I want to go have a big crowd, because high school crowds aren't that big. Like I want to play like these are. When you watch a big crowd, you're like, holy, this is amazing. Yeah. So it's like that's kind of where the dreams start for those young guys. So I think that'd be probably the biggest pitch. I'm like, you have no idea, bro. Like playing in this place gives you superpowers. So it's one of the best feelings in the world to be able to kill a ball and win a game and have The Rock go crazy and put all the smiles on people's faces. So I think that'd be my biggest pitch, especially for a young guy who like just loves volleyball and wants to play. Like I'm sure playing in a big arena is probably majority of their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the veterans like you've kind of studied it out and have a feel for.
And you played at a place that has a great environment.
I did.
Yeah. So you were swaying with, where can I get better?
Or where can I live my dream? Or where can I play with players more like me? Or
when I was getting recruited,
when you were coming to here after UH.
After UH, yeah. I mean, the crowd was still
part of it.
Still big for me, yeah. And I think God just told me to come here. I didn't even really talk to other schools.
So it was a spiritual part of it. It was like, at that point.
Yeah, I didn't really have a thought about anywhere else. I was like, this is definitely where I was supposed to be.
Good. That's awesome. That's what Brigham Young said when he came to Utah. Hey, this is the place to be.
That's right. He didn't look anyplace else once he looked over that hill. He's like, this is it.
This is it. All right, we've got 5 questions for Keone Thiim presented by strategysquare.co. These are rapid fire.
I have 5 answers.
First thing that comes to the top of your head. Ready for this one?
Okay.
Your favorite sports movie?
Sports movie? Oh, Rudy? Or maybe Whiplash? That's not a sport. Never mind.
I don't even know what Whiplash is.
Whiplash is drumming. Whiplash is drumming. Oh, but that's like my favorite movie.
That should be your favorite musical.
You know what?
It's like a crazy, like mean,
like a drumline
conductor, and he like puts his kid down. And he just has a big dream, and he just like shows him up at the end, basically.
Whiplash.
You know what?
Great
We're gonna
movie.
have to look up Whiplash. But Rudy is a sports movie, and that's a favorite of a lot of folks. So, your favorite singer or band?
Singer is Giveon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He's kind of like Daniel Caesar. Kind of a slow.
Spell it. How do you spell it?
Giveon, I believe. Kind of a slow singer.
Giveon.
Nice voice. I don't know. Just.
Is he an Islander guy or is this mainstream?
No, he's not. He's
what genre is he? Like what?
Like slow R&B.
Oh, slow R&B.
Like kind of sad, but like kind of just chill music.
Right.
I just think in terms of like one singer, I'd put him.
You look up Ozzy Antoine, and I'm gonna look up Giveon.
Deal.
What's your fire-up music?
Fire-up music? It's called Brazilian funk, and it's there's like not really much words in it, but it just like blows up your headphones.
So you got the headphones on.
Yeah. Brazilian funk.
Brazilian
do you
funk.
Have a band? Yeah. Do you have a band? Because Giveon sounds like he's a solo artist. Do you have a band that you love?
A band?
He's AC/DC, which I don't get, but
I mean, I've had
Keith Urban. I'm on both spectrums.
No,
I got a few of those songs. You have to have a few of the OG bands. I might just. I'm not sure. I don't really have a lot of band music.
So you don't have to do any of the.
There's like no concert if a band was coming. You're like,
I haven't been to concerts. No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
We're going Giveon.
We're going Giveon.
And I am going to look it up right after the show. So your favorite food.
Favorite food? Oh, that's always such a hard question. My mom's chicken broccoli casserole.
Boy, that's a quick answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That has to be good stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Chicken.
I can eat it every day.
Broccoli, chicken casserole.
Your favorite volleyball venue?
The Smith Fieldhouse. Go on.
Okay.
Well, you've played in a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've never been to I've been to basketball games over at UH, but never a volleyball. What is the
broadcast
what's
games
the difference?
in the old basketball arena?
You're in a basketball arena for one.
Yeah, I think like because Hawaii has no pro sports, we don't have NBA, we don't have NFL. Like, I think the older community and the adults, like they kind of make it their lives because like people get older and they kind of make whatever city they're in their lives. Like the NBA teams is like kind of like their diehard thing. So we have like. Not only like a young showing of like students and stuff, like we have a lot of older people who just like live and die by it. And, every game will have lays, every game, like they're there every single game. Like just like they just love it, because we don't have pro sports. It's like, that's kind of just their pride on the island. And like, unfortunately at this moment in time, like our big sports haven't been doing the best at that place, like basketball and football. They haven't been really shining in the past couple of years, and volleyball has. So it's like it just kind of kept growing, and they just love it. And like it's different. Everyone knows the Aloha spirit's kind of unmatched and crazy when you feel it. Everyone goes and plays their away, and like even the away teams get all the lays after the games. And if the away team makes a good play, the whole place is still clapping. It's just kind of like. In that area in Hawaii, it's just like it's a lot of love. Everyone they just love the sport. They just love watching it. So it's a different feeling for sure. But it's a miss get everyone fired up. They want you to win. And
you got freshmen, juniors, sophomores, seniors coming in.
Is your family still back in the islands?
Yeah, most of them. But I got my grandparents here, and I got cousins. My cousin sets at Utah for the girls. And then I got my grandparents who come to pretty much all the games, and my Uncle Mikey, who used to play for BYU, he's out here, and he'll come with his family.
Good.
bunch
So you
of
got
other
family
cousins.
both places then?
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And they're on Oahu, right?
Yeah, and I got a village coming for senior night. So
Oh, nice.
like I'm getting emails. It's like Airbnb or it's like a itinerary. They're making itineraries because so
That's
many people are
awesome.
coming. I'm like,
That's awesome.
Well, and BYU TV's all over the island.
What town is your family in Oahu?
they're kind of spread all over, but mine we kind of stick around Kamiki, east side.
Yep.
And we love it over there.
Great.
Yeah,
It's a
cool.
great place. That's a great place. Okay, now the last of the 5 questions is your favorite BYU moment.
Favorite BYU moments? Ooh, I mean, it has to be playing Hawaii. The first night, first night playing against Hawaii, it was so fun. Of course, by the fashion, it got into the 20-somethings in the 5th set. It was a battle. I loved it. It was so fun.
Was it a little weird for you to be playing against a team that you knew?
It wasn't weird. I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because the schedules didn't come out, but kind of they'll chat with coaches. We kind of knew this was happening by the end of summer. We were like, yeah, this is going to happen. So I've been excited the whole time. And
Well, my
whole family came out for that one, so it was dope.
Sean had to get them on the schedule with you coming.
Because
had to
it's
happen.
they're very strict with their contracts because it's the 2 hardest away games to play in the nation. So very strict on 2 at BYU, 2 in Hawaii, 2 at BYU, 2 in Hawaii. And I think that's the reason why it's been so long since we played them, because before COVID, I think they needed to come up. It was their turn for one more game.
Right.
And Charlie didn't want to do it for, I don't know, for whatever reason, but I probably pushed the right button. So
That's good. That's good.
All right, here's a bonus question.
Yeah.
So you played at Santa Barbara Community College in 2020. Can you appeal to the NCAA and get another year of eligibility for next season?
If it goes through, I don't think it's official yet.
Yeah, they keep talking. I know there were some BYU football players that were talking about doing that, and
Some got it and some
some got
didn't.
it and some didn't.
Which is interesting because I haven't looked into it. I don't know if I would. We have another guy who came from OCC, Cole Hauser.
Yeah.
And if he does get it, he'll get another 2 because he did 2.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I guess it's in the air.
It seems like that's the direction
If
it's
you
all
could get
going.
it, would you want to do that?
It depends how this summer goes. If I get invited to some USA stuff, I'm thinking about my pro careers either indoor or on the beach. So I kind of got options.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of...
Which do you like better? You like indoor or beach better?
I think I'm better at beach, and at least my potential is better for beach because the position I play in beach, I actually have an ideal body for it.
Right.
And I love indoor, and if I get an opportunity to go indoor, I feel like it would be dumb not to take it. If I were able to go overseas somewhere, that'd be super cool. And because you can always go back to the beach if you're done with indoor, but if you do beach, you're not going to be able to go back to indoor.
There's no going back after you do the
in
beach.
indoor, there's we talk about these big 6'9" middle blockers that they can't cover a lot of ground. They're not great in beach, right? Because you got to be able to cover more ground.
Sometimes because ideally you want 1 blocker and 1 defender, and the blocker is usually a big guy.
And then there's somebody like you that can cover all the ground.
That runs around in the back the whole time. So the blocker will go cover as much court as he can, and the defender would be more athletic and smaller and can run basically.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, a lot of times God speaks to us and we don't listen. But he spoke to you and you did listen, and you're here, and BYU's the better for it. We're just happy to have you here.
Yeah.
No regrets. I love it.
Yeah.
We're grateful you come in and spend some time with us
Yeah,
and on a big game week.
Of course. Now we got about a month left. Ready to just school's almost over. Got a month left. I'm ready to just give it everything I got for the next month. That's all we got.
So you're ranked number 7. Where do you got to be to get into the playoffs?
So we're already in the conference playoffs.
Okay.
But the NCAA playoffs is strictly who wins their conferences, because I believe there's only going to be 8
And no
teams.
at-larges?
There are 2 at-larges, but considering it's definitely going to, because they have Long Beach, Hawaii, and UCI in one conference. So it's kind of unfortunate. That's why we're trying to grow the tournament, because UCI, Hawaii, and Long Beach, they're the top 3. One of them's not going because they're all in the same conference.
Right.
Whoever wins that conference is going. Whoever wins their conference automatically gets bid. And then because they're the best, probably whoever gets second is getting 1 at-large. And then whoever's getting second in our conference is probably getting the other at-large.
And UCLA, are they still number 1? Are they down a little
No,
bit?
they
were
lost
earlier?
a couple games. I think Long Beach is still number 1.
Okay, Long Beach is.
But they just got their first loss, but they're still number 1 because they beat them the next night. But
So in our league, in the MPSF tournament, who do we got to beat?
we're gonna either, I don't know who will play first, but we're gonna have to play either GCU, USC again, UCLA, Pepperdine, and
That's good
us.
teams.
They're all good
They're all
teams.
good. Yeah, this league's good.
Yeah, so that's why MPSF and Big West, that's why we're trying to grow the sport, because then there's other conferences that there's always like one or two teams in the NCAA tournament, like the biggest tournament, that just get first round wiped. Like we don't, because their conferences aren't as big and stuff like that. And then like within the top 5 every year, 1 or 2 of the top 5 aren't even in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. So it's kind of
a conference champion from a conference that doesn't have anybody in the top 10 loses by a big margin in the first round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it'll be a big Thursday and Friday with Stanford at the Smith Fieldhouse. If you can't get your tickets or a ticket, it's on BYU TV for all the world to see. And Keone Thiim will be rocking it. When you smash one, we want you to think of us.
Okay.
You know, the Sports Nation gives the karma. We don't really have karma. We're just the wise guys. That's just what we are.
Should I like a wife for the camera after a kill or something?
That's something like that.
Look at the shirt I wore.
Perfect. Okay, I'll throw this up with the camera after
you throw that out. We'll know it's for us, and everyone else will on our stream around the world tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Keone
hang loose has to be this way though, right?
Yeah, or a little loose. It's got to be loose if you're going to go loose.
So like this.
The fingers are a little loose. There you go.
Nice. But you do it this way, or
you can. Yeah. Either way, as long as it's loose, you're good.
Because this is kind of the BYU that Kalani.
BYU's kind of tight.
Yeah.
Back on the island, we'll keep it loose, a little looser.
That's kind of how it is over there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks
for the opportunity. Appreciate it, guys.
Good luck against the Cardinal on Thursday and Friday, 7:00 Mountain Time. Again on BYU TV, and also you can catch that in person. And again, a month left to catch it. This is it. The basketball's over. It's volleyball, baseball, and softball, and then it's the long hot summer.
And if you haven't been in, I'm telling you, if you just watch it on TV, I mean it's great, but you're not going to see Keone fly like you are if you go in person. It's crazy, and it does remind me of Michael Jordan, or as I mentioned, Ozzie Antoine. Like he flies. It's fun to watch.
It's a human highlight film.
And like, how can that dude at that height be so effective? Because he can jump out of the gym. It's really fun.
That's the highest leaper in the history of our show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
3 years, right.
Although I'm thinking, like, who else would say they were like Austin might say back in the day, but no. I'm telling you, no.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Good to have him with us. And we had Austin Collie earlier. Austin was talking about that alumni game. I do want to go over a couple things, and then we got some campus notes to talk about also women's basketball. So we got 28 more minutes, give or take, but we got some good stuff. So hang with us.
Do we want to go all the way back to we were talking about Lee Camard when we left, right?
Yeah, let's do let's finish up on the alumni game, only because we promised everybody would go over Spencer Linton's over-unders.
Okay.
So let's put a button on that. Sure. By the way, in that 25-20 game, Fahu Tahi caught the winning touchdown pass from Charlie Peterson.
My favorite play of the game.
You had a touchdown pass to Rob Daniel, the back of the end zone. Gavin Fowler also had a touchdown pass.
Gavin had 2. He had one to Matt Edwards and another one to Cody Hoffman to take the lead.
By the way, that Matt Edwards, that was not a touchdown, but we counted it anyway.
Yeah, the one to
his
Cody
grandpa's name's on this.
Cody was
stadium.
Ridiculous in this game.
Cody Hoffman had a spectacular catch. He looked great as always. And then we wrote up about it at Deseret.com, so you can kind of get some reaction to that game. Spencer was here last week and gave us the over-under. And he was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And you never know what you're going to get in an alumni game.
Right.
But 40 points, total points, he went with the over.
Yeah, and 45, so he got it right.
20 combined completions. We're not sure, but we think it was over.
It's over. It was over. What did he say?
They had like 5 quarterbacks playing.
Yeah.
He said over.
Oh, yeah, it was over. It was over.
2 Leva Hifo touchdowns. That is, he went with the under, and that was correct.
Yeah.
You guys, everyone played too much zone defense.
Yeah, everybody
no one
sat
got behind.
on the zone. You couldn't throw. Although Charlie had that one beautiful post route deep early
to Rob
Daniel.
Yeah, that was
which
good.
was an incredible throw and incredible catch. For dudes that age, it was great.
The over-under on 2 injuries in the game or to be determined days later. It's still kind of early.
Yeah,
on that one.
I talked to everybody. Everybody feels fine.
It felt like everything was good.
Yeah, everybody feels fine. It was
if
great.
someone wakes up tomorrow with a stiff back.
Brian Keel, I was walking with Brian out in the parking lot afterwards, and he had a little hitch in his giddy up. I'm going to say that.
He was taped from his ankle to his neck. The over-under on a 1 Brian Keel touchdown. Spencer took the under. He thought he was going to get shut out.
He played a great game on the defensive side, by the way.
Yeah, he was in there on he was in there on your touchdown to Rob Daniel. I thought you were going to go to him.
He ran the out route, and we were kind of using him as a decoy. I was, Austin specifically said, look him off, look out at Brian, and hold that, and then come back in and throw it inside. And they thought we were going to Brian, so they spread the defense out a little bit, created that little hole to get it to Rob.
All right, let's do women's basketball, and then we got some football. This was a big day for football, big weekend to pick up a couple of Cougars that we're going to be seeing play.
Right.
But earlier today, the search, and I'm not even sure it was much of a search, as Lee Cummard said at his news conference, they talked to him pretty much right away after Amber Whiting was dismissed after 3 years. But Lee Cummard is the new head coach of BYU women's basketball. He's been an assistant since 2019 with the women's program. He's also with the men's program. During his playing days, he was the big man on campus. So it was fun to see him get that job. And some folks asked me about the search, and BYU's in a unique place. I couldn't even give them 4 names of candidates. Right? You're just like,
everybody was talking about the Grand Canyon coach.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure why. And she signed with Arizona State. I mean, she's a great coach, but
great. But she doesn't have any ties to BYU or anything like that.
Yeah, and
she is a great coach.
Great coach. But to be a head coach at BYU, you got to be a member of the church.
Right.
And not only that, a faithful member of the church. And sometimes in the coaching game, that limits the pool. Yeah. But they talked to Lee right away, and it was going to be his, it sounds like, from the very start. And we've known him for a long time. We'll have him back on the show. He's got a big challenge. He's got to find some bigs, as the last 2 years in the Big 12 have shown. BYU's had guards who can score, but you got to have rebounders in this league. And they just haven't been able to get them. Whether that's a commitment to NIL or what, for whatever reason. They've had phenomenal guards. Big guards again this year. And they've got to get some size. The
Big 12 every team has a couple of bigs that gave BYU problems this year. So when I think of Lee, I wrote down some words that describe him back as a player and as a coach. Toughness. Like, he was he was a skinny guy when he played, but he was just known as one of the most fierce competitors and toughest guys in the game. He was a grinder. He knows how to put the work in. His attention to detail as a player and as a coach is off the charts, and he's going to demand of the players. And you know what? He's great with the players. Like, universally, when he was an assistant to Juddy, the players loved Lee because they know he played the game. They love the way he explains and teaches. So I think he's going to have success now as the head guy in recruiting, and I think he'll get some bigs. But he'll demand excellence and attention to detail that I think will be really, really good for them. And yeah, we just wish them the best. And you know, we love Amber. She's great to us. She's a great friend. We love their whole family, and we wish her the very, very best. And we also love Lee. And so we're hoping Lee has great success.
He's going to build around Delaney Gibb. He was instrumental in recruiting her, the Big 12 Freshman of the Year, and she'll be back next year. He said everyone that's on the team is planning to be back, and that's good news.
Yeah.
They weren't expecting to lose Delaney anyway. She's here for BYU. She loves it. And then she has an NIL and all that stuff, so they got all that worked out.
Yeah.
And now he's got to go find some players in the portal. The women's portal opened up last week. John on the stream asking about Kaylee Wilson, who's on her mission, went into the transfer portal, but that was while either Amber was still coach or toward the end. So I don't know. Everyone gets a chance to decide what they want to do. Whether she comes back, we'll see. But it's the Lee Cummard program now, and he's going to go out and get the players he wants. He said he felt pretty good about their position, their support with the administration, and moving forward. And so we'll see. But Kaylee's out serving a mission. She was outstanding freshman. I'm sure she's an outstanding missionary. And when she comes back, she'll have some choices to make. But it's going to be Cummard.
Yep, it'll be Lee Cummard. Hey, and by the way, Sylvia, come on. She just puts in here, didn't the Royals score a touchdown at the end of the game to make the final score 27-25?
Sylvia,
she
you're
has a
better
big
than
smiley
that.
face on
You're better than that.
I know she's joking, but if you'll remember, Gavin threw a heck of a ball on that, but Oleva-Hifo, it went through.
It got away from him. Yeah, we didn't expect that to get away from him.
Sylvia, and then she sends us too, because she knows she was going to get me with that one. She knew she was going to get me with that one.
Tom Homo, that might have been his last hire.
Yeah,
Lee Cummard.
You're right.
He's retiring in August officially. And a lot of folks ask us, what's going on with that athletic director search? I'll tell you, mum's the word.
Yeah, so I talked to one of the candidates a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we know them all.
Yeah, they haven't done any interview. So we all just expected that when they announced Tom was retiring, that this process was going to be in place. All they did was they sent out some feelers to see who was interested. And basically they said, Tom's not leaving until August. So we're going to let him enjoy the NCAA basketball tournament and have him be involved in the hiring of the women's basketball. Like, he's still in charge and still rolling. Let him enjoy that. And they wanted to get the basketball season done because, the whole athletic department travels. Those guys travel with. Mm-hmm. And then they can kind of settle in and actually do formal interviews with the candidates. So everybody's expecting, like, wow, this should have been named. Well, now they're going to start the process. So we're still a little bit away from who they named to that job.
Let's transition to football, and we start with the Cougar Board question of the week. The Cougar Board is the largest online community of BYU fans. Thousands of posts every day. They've been hopping through the tournament. Lots to talk about. And you know what the transfer portal does? Keeps Cougar Board alive and cruising because everyone's got an opinion and there's something new every day. This question comes from Dilbert, one of their insider subscribers. Spring ball winding down. It ended on Saturday. How are you feeling about the football team? In what ways will they be better this year? Let's just say, in what ways will they be better prepared? As we've learned in these games, the games determine. BYU won a lot of close games last year that could have gone one way or the other. They went their way, and they went 11-2.
Right.
They could have been just as good and had a couple of those games go the other way, and 8-5. And we have a totally different opinion. But how will they be better prepared this year?
They just have such a good core of established leaders coming back and at important positions. So when the quarterback is a senior and now he's been a full year starter, as Austin mentioned, not just a part-time starter. When Austin Collie was on earlier, he mentioned, Jake started a few games at the end of the year, but now he's a full year guy. There's no quarterback competition. He's settled in, and man, playing again for the first time in 30-something years, I realized how important it is to have a mastery of all of the routes and what the defense is doing and where you're supposed to go with the ball. Because all of us playing the other night didn't have any of that. And you just realize how difficult it is with athletes out there to do it. He is so prepared and so much ahead of where he was at the same time last year. I watched him in spring ball. The offense is way ahead. And they've got a bunch of veteran receivers back. And they lost some key offensive line leaders, but the young talent is there. They are big and long and athletic. So I just think they're going to score more points. And defensively, they had to replace some really good guys on the D-line. The biggest answer to that is Keone Thiim.
Yeah.
He is an absolute beast, and he's a phenomenal leader. He's already having an impact, not just on his ability there in the middle, but in leadership with the D-line. They had some really good young guys that did get reps last year that'll be back. Then the back seven, it's all back. Like and you lose some great players in Jacob Robinson and Collins. But remember, they played a bunch of guys back there, and the quarterback on the defense is Tanner Wall. He was all last year. So you got Jake Retzlaff back to make all the calls and get everybody lined up on offense, and you got Tanner Wall back to get all the guys lined up. Tanner Wall, in my opinion, could be a first-team All-Big 12 guy this next year.
I talked to Tanner today and Evan Johnson and Keone Thiim, a little media event that BYU had, and they're and Keone, it sounds like he's been here for 15 years.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he is in complete command.
Well, and when you hear him, you go, wait a minute. How has this guy not been here from the beginning?
Exactly.
Like, this is where he belongs. And I talked to his dad, Sean, for quite a while at practice a couple weeks ago. And Sean is just so happy with how happy Keone is. And a happy guy is going to play great. And
he was
Utah's best D lineman. He was the best D lineman on the field last year in that game. And keep that guy healthy. With his leadership in that, BYU's in great shape. And as I mentioned, they have some young guys coming back that played a lot this last year. I'm not as worried about the D-line as I was when the season ended.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better about it. And I've always, you and I talked about it, that back seven, the backers and the defensive backs,
it's
they're as good as anybody has in the league.
It is going to be fun. That's one thing that we felt on the field Friday night, even at the Alumni Game, is that football vibe. Plus, it was cool, so it felt like the fall. And you just go, okay, the team could come running out. And everyone would be like, hey, this is awesome. By the way, John, on the stream, we were talking about Lee Camard and the coaching search. I believe that the women's head track
meant just track coach,
is not a member of the church, Dale G. Taylor. That is true. But the way track is set up, Ed Eystone is the director of the track program. And then there's then it funnels down.
Right.
And she's over women's, and then he's over men's. But that's just how that's set up. So I don't know if they set that up to just kind of work around some of the policies that way. But
and here's the thing:
that's the order of how track
I would change
is.
the policy for Diljit.
Yeah.
Because she's proven that you could do it, right?
I might change it for I might change it for the best capable person.
Yeah.
But it's different at BYU. At BYU, you represent the church wherever you go, and that's a tough spot to put someone in who isn't a member of the church. By the way, you have a fireside tonight. What?
Yeah.
And it's at the Steak Center. Well, I'll take mine medium well.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not that.
We've had Diljit on the show, and we interact with Diljit all the time, and she is a phenomenal human being.
Yeah,
I mean, she's
great.
She's, they took a little bit of a risk there, but the reward has been remarkable because of the unbelievable human being she is, and she so supports all of the programs of the church and the university in a way that you wouldn't know that she's not a member of the church, and she's very strong in her own faith, and she does an amazing job with the women in that program and the men too, because she helps out there too. So she is such an amazing exception, right?
Yeah, but that's how track is set up, and so hopefully that gives you a little insight, John, on that. Today, former Stanford commit, I'm going to take a shot at this one, and I asked Tanner Wall how to say the last name, but Nusi Taumoepea announced he's playing at BYU, 4-star linebacker from Westlake High School.
That's a big get. He was one of the top defense. He's a D. He's probably playing D end. And I project him as a D end. He's an outside backer rush, but D end. He was one of the top recruits in the Western United States.
24/7 Sports ranks him the number 3 overall player in the state of Utah. He's a true freshman, and he could see some playing time this fall.
Yeah, he's a big get.
He asked Stanford for a release of his commitment after the Cardinal fired head coach Troy Taylor, and there was a lot of rumblings the last couple of weeks that BYU was going to, because BYU was hot on his tail,
right,
before he went to Stanford, and so now they get him back, and that linebacker room, or if he goes to the rush ends. There's starting to be more 4-stars.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Starting to see stars.
Yeah, he can be a force. He's I was just watching some film on him. He is a very skilled player. It's going to be fun.
Over the weekend, 6'7" tight end, Ty Gotche.
I don't know
how would you say that?
I'd say Gotche.
Gotche announced he's going to play at BYU. He chose the Cougars.
If he's German, it's Gotche.
He's choosing BYU. Oh, he's from Colorado, so I don't know how German that can be.
And if it comes from that great Cherry Creek, area, which has some, great players.
Michigan offered, Penn State offered, Auburn offered, Florida offered, Texas Tech offered. He picks BYU, 3-star tight end, listed among the top 10 players in the state of Colorado. He's coming in the 2026 class. So Nusi will be here this summer, ready to play.
Yeah.
And then Ty will be next year.
And it'll be interesting to see what Ty does. Does he come?
And I don't know if he's a mission kid or not.
Does he come from one? I think he is a mission kid, but does he come for 1 year, like Reiner did, and then go off, or does he just go off? I'm hearing behind the scenes he might come for a year like Reiner did, and then go.
Let me tell you what McKay Madsen told me just between us, because I talked to him at the Alumni Game.
Yeah.
And he's the 4-star from Fresno. It's going to be the next Luke Staley or something like that, who's going out on his mission later this summer, and then he'll be back. But we were talking, and I said, and we're trying to get some of your friends,
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, they're coming.
That's what you.
So when we say they're friends, there's a quarterback that's a 5-star, and a tight end that's a 4-star, and then a couple others. And he just looked and he goes, oh, they're coming.
So John Crowder said it's pronounced. Now, we appreciate the phonetic, John. This is big time. Getchi.
All right, John, there it is. Getchi. That's going to help us.
Yeah.
At 6'7".
Appreciate it, John. We're going to trust you on this one, John.
Yeah, don't let us down. So anyway, those are 2 big pickups with the momentum of spring wrapping up.
Keeps getting better.
And then Kalani and a bunch of guys will be on the cruise here in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Tanner Wall and his wife are going, and then they're back. April's kind of a month to go relax, but May it starts again. It's like football season for the team starts in May.
They give them off this week to kind of catch up in school and do all that kind of stuff. I saw some of the kids at the gym this morning. Gavin came with me to lift this morning. He wasn't sore from the game, and he played defense. So played defense and quarterback.
That was a fun one. All right, let's get some campus notes and right out of here on another big Wise Guy show. Here's our last show in March. Then it's April, then it's May, then it's June, and then camp starts in July.
Wow.
So that's how we're rolling. Baseball's 14-11, 4-5 in the Big 12. Virginia beat them Saturday 19-16.
19-16? That's a baseball game?
4.5 hours.
Yeah, I know you were
Not
on
a
that
great
one.
day for the pitchers. BYU was down 7-0. Then they scored 15 unanswered runs. Now they're ahead 15-7 in the fourth. And then West Virginia scores 12 unanswered runs. And BYU gets one late, but the Mountaineers' bullpen was better, and that proved to be the difference. The teams combined for 80 runs over the 3 games.
All this baseball you've been covering, we had Wally Joyner in here. Anybody hit one on top of May Hall over in Helaman Halls like Wally did?
No.
Or onto the steps of the Marriott Center like Corey Snyder did?
Nothing like that
Okay,
so
let's
far.
get going. That's a challenge I'm sending out there to
We
the
need
baseball
Easton
team.
Jones to fire up and get that.
Yep.
This week, BYU's at Oral Roberts. That's tomorrow. They're on the road for a little bit. 5 o'clock Mountain Time on BYU Radio, and then they're over to TCU for the weekend. You can see that on ESPN Plus and listen on BYU
Who's doing
Radio.
all the BYU radio ones? Greg doing those?
Jason Shepard.
Shep's doing
No,
it.
it's Greg. Greg's back.
Greg's back doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
That's
deal. Softball, 21-8, 5-4 in conference. BYU beat number 9 Arizona. That's a big marquee win. They beat them 9-4 Saturday to avoid a 3-game sweep.
Arizona is tough.
Yeah, they're very good. This week, Utah Valley's at BYU tomorrow, 6 p.m. And that's on ESPN Plus.
Let's hope we get that in.
Who's
the
calling
weather's
that
getting
one?
nasty. It might be Spencer.
I think Spencer is. We got a winter storm advisory here in Utah
Yeah,
that
that's
just
not
started
good.
just now at 6 o'clock tonight and goes until 6 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. BYU's at Iowa State Thursday through Saturday on ESPN Plus.
Outdoor track and field. Shout out to Casey Klinger.
Wow.
Breaks Ed Eyestone's 40-year record at BYU in the 10,000 meters. Ran it in 27:11.00, fifth fastest in NCAA history.
Casey just keeps breaking records and keeps getting better.
These guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Also, BYU set a new school record at the Texas Relays in the 4x200 meter relay. Eli Hazlitt, Josh Taylor, Riley Hunt, and Ty Austritz ran it in 1:23.31. They just keep getting faster. This week, both squads were at the Stanford Invitational or the Triton Invitational in San Diego Friday and Saturday.
Right, they're splitting up, right? Yeah. So, men's golf, BYU takes 4th place at the Goodwin in Stanford, California. The Peter Kim was the co-individual champ, so that's his first place finish.
Yeah,
so
great.
it's pretty cool. And then next up, Western Intercollegiate. That's April 14th through 15th in Santa Cruz, California.
Women's golf there at the Olympic Club Invitational in San Francisco. Wrap up tomorrow. Then it's the Big 12 Championships, April 15th in Hockley, Texas.
Yeah, good stuff. Women's tennis. I was there. So they're 16-6, 6-3 in the league. They beat Iowa State 4-2, and then they beat Kansas 4-3. Started slow, and Holly said to my wife Brenda, they said this rain's going to come. Maybe we could use a little rain delay to change the momentum. It rained. They went inside, and then BYU dominated inside, and they came back and won the thing. So Holly was prophetic that they just needed a little break to change the mojo. They beat Kansas 4-3.
Tim's checking in from Wilmington, North Carolina. Hey, Tim, good to have you with us. And you can watch this whole show over again on all our platforms if you missed them.
That's right. And then this week for women's tennis, they're at Kansas State on Thursday and at Oklahoma State on Saturday. So a road trip back to the Midwest.
Men's tennis is 12-6, 1-4 in the Big 12. Second-ranked TCU beat them 4-0, and then lost to Baylor 4-2. This week they're in Arizona, at Arizona State Thursday, and at Arizona on Saturday. And the gymnastics NCAA regionals against Utah State are Wednesday. In the play-in meet, the winner will advance further into the Utah regional on Thursday. So you know how the basketball has the first 4?
Right.
Right, and sometimes gymnastics does that a little bit. So BYU and Utah State meet, and then the winner gets into the regular first round. But, hey, better to be in than out.
That's right.
And so that's going on later this week. We wish the Cougs the very best.
So should we get into on this day?
Yeah.
March 31st. In 1850, I guess the census data was in 1850, the U.S. population hit 23,191,876.
Do you think they counted like on horseback?
I don't know,
They just
because
rode around counting people?
the New York City metro area is bigger than that right now.
Yeah, well.
So today it's 346.6 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and they keep coming. In 1880, Wabash, Indiana, becomes the first town in the U.S. completely illuminated by electric light. And then my parents got engaged, not in 1880, but on the banks of the Wabash River in Indiana.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So Wabash, Indiana.
1889, The Eiffel Tower opened in Paris.
When did the Vegas Eiffel Tower open?
It's not quite the same
was
height.
later.
I didn't know that until I went to Paris a few years ago and realized that the Eiffel Tower in Vegas is quite a bit smaller.
They got a restaurant up there that's all right.
Yeah, it's good.
1906, the Intercollegiate Athletic Association is founded to set rules for amateur sports. It becomes the NCAA 4 years later.
So the NCAA's been around since 1910, huh?
Yeah, and they've never had less power than they have today.
1918, the first daylight savings time goes into effect. Why?
I think it was for farmers, wasn't it?
Was it who did that?
I don't know. Now they're trying to
Who's
get rid of it.
responsible for that?
It happened in 1918. It was a long time ago.
Was it Benjamin Franklin? Because he did a lot of good stuff. If he did that, I'm just kidding.
In 1967, on this day, Jimi Hendrix set his guitar on fire, and then he burned his fingers playing at a London concert. Note to self:
What in the world?
If you're going to set the thing on fire, you can't play it afterwards.
So first daylight savings time was in 1918. Then it was definitely after Benjamin Franklin was dead.
Yeah.
So 1994.
Yeah.
The White Sox sent Michael Jordan down to the AA Birmingham Barons in the minor leagues, and then that was a good thing because then he returned to the NBA a year later.
Do you think if they'd have kept him up with the parent club, he'd
would
go,
just
hey,
stay-
I might do this a little bit?
just stay for the
I'm in
Sox.
Birmingham. I'm going back to the
Then
league.
he went back to the NBA and won another world championship.
On this day in 1996, Major League Baseball opens its season in March for the very first time. Seattle beat the White Sox 3-2 in 12 innings inside the Kingdome. They go, hey, well, as long as we're playing indoors, we could play in March.
can do it in March, yeah.
Now they play open in March all the time.
All over the place.
We're well into the season.
Heated fields like BYU has here. So let's talk about birthdays on March 31st, okay? And we're going to start in 1685 with John Sebastian Bach.
Is it John or Johann?
It's Johann.
His friends called him John.
Everybody just called him John back in the day. Everybody knows they just called him John back in the day. 1685. Johann Sebastian Bach, the great composer.
Yeah, because, we're cultured. We put him on the list.
Yeah.
1928, Gordie Howe, the 23-time NHL All-Star and Hall of Famer. 23 times.
Is he the best ever, or is it Wayne Gretzky?
I don't know, but that's a good argument.
Yeah. Gretzky or Howe. Two different eras, I know. In 1943, Christopher Walken was born on this day. He
still needs more cowbell.
Yeah.
He has a fever. 1948, Rhea Perlman, Carla on Cheers.
On Cheers, that's right.
Yeah.
So
this is a big one.
Yeah, 1955, Angus Young. Nobody knows who he is but you.
Everyone
because
knows
he's the
who he
great
is.
guitar player from AC/DC.
One of the
Did
greatest
you know
guitar
that, Steve?
players in the
Did you know
world.
that, DJ, that was Angus Young? No.
Don't shake your head no, DJ.
So, Jack, did you know that he was a great guitar player from AC/DC? Angus Young? No. Only Dave knows that because only Dave loves AC/DC.
I'm glad you guys are
more
listening
than
to this
Life
show because we learn a lot of important things.
Angus
and that's
Young,
one
the
of
great
them.
guitarist.
In 1971, Ewan McGregor from Star Wars. It was in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
I'm saying that right? Ewan,
Yeah, I think it's
McGregor?
Ewan.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
And how about this one?
Yeah, 1976, very important. I have ties that were born in 1976. Jason Shepard, BYU TV analyst, who's been on this show and helped co-host a couple weeks ago.
You know who else was born in 1985 on this day? Lee Cummard.
That's right.
The new women's basketball
on his
coach.
birthday,
at
he's
BYU.
announced as the head coach. That's got to be
Happy
good
birthday.
karma.
Yeah, that's
Way to
awesome.
go, Lee.
March 31st, deaths. Isaac Newton, 1727, physicist, astronomer, studied gravity, laws of motion, seemed to be important.
And where was he buried? I think he was buried in Westminster Abbey because I think he's one of the places I saw the graves. I think Sir Isaac Newton is buried in Westminster Abbey in London.
Seems like it.
So I'll check it out in July when I'm over there. 1913, J.P. Morgan, the great financier.
You still hear his name
died.
get kicked around.
Yep.
How about that company? You pass away in 1913 and in 2025.
You still have J.P. Morgan Financial.
all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
1931, Newt Rockne, a 3-time national champion coach at Notre Dame. He and 7 others were killed in a plane crash on this day in 1931.
Great Newt Rockne. 1980, Jesse Owens, 4-time Olympic gold medalist, passed away.
And in 1998 on this day, Dale R. McCann, my
Is
dad,
that right?
passed away.
Yeah, on
27 years ago.
March 31st.
Yeah.
Way too young. How old is your dad when
He
he
was
passed?
57.
Yep, way too
57.
young. So, one of the great,
so
great
I'll tell
men
you a
I've ever known.
story about my dad. So he wasn't feeling well, and he left his office at the Cougar Club. He's running the Cougar Club to run home and lay down for a little bit, and never made it back.
Yeah,
And when we went back to kind of clean up his office a week or a couple of weeks later, there was this lunch on the side and his notes of who he was going to call as soon as he got back. He fully intended to come back. And one of the great lessons that we learned there is we never know when we're not coming back. And so we live, are every moment. Like there's no guarantee you get more. And so you try to make the most of the life that you're in. And as a boy who cleaned up that office with my brothers and saw that, we just kind of sat down and waited for him to come back in because it seemed like he just went down the hall. But he never did come back in. And we'll see him again someday. But it's been 27 years.
Do you know, your dad, he always treated everyone with kindness.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson because you don't know. You don't want to leave having mistreated somebody. Your dad always treated people with kindness.
We also found were all his free sandwiches at Wendy's. We did find that.
Yeah,
those went with us.
Yep.
Thanks, Wendy's. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from Angus Young of ACDC.
And the reason I made a big deal of it because I knew that the quote was from Angus Young, and I wanted to make sure that
it's a classic.
Yes, it is. He says, "I'm sick to death of people saying we've made 11 albums that sound exactly the same, when in fact we've made 12 albums that sound exactly the same."
That's Angus Young right there. That's awesome. I saw him play with the band in Vegas years ago.
Yeah.
He's still out there. I think they're back on tour.
No, and
which is crazy. But
I know it's your favorite band, and there's some AC/DC songs that are legendary.
Well, they're in all the sports arenas and stuff.
Yep.
There's some that are, like everyone. Like sometimes you go, why'd they put that song?
What's their most famous song ever?
Probably Back in Black.
Think Back in Black. Yeah, you're probably right.
Probably their biggest hit. Highway to Hell is another one. You see a lot.
Big one.
Hell's Bells. Hell seems to be a lot.
Did they play Running with the Devil? No,
that was Van Halen.
Van Halen, that's right. So Hell's Bells is the one.
But
that
I think
remember.
Back in Black, for those about to rock. But Back in Black is on. Yeah, that's still on all the stuff.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Our special thanks to Austin Collie and Keone Thiim. Men's volleyball against Stanford Thursday and Friday, because General Conference is Saturday and Sunday. So the Field House, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. Jerem will have the call on BYU TV. That'll be fun. Those will be, man. You know what? There's no more basketball during the week. This is it. Go watch volleyball and have a good time.
That's right. Next week, Johnny Harlan's coming in, and he's bringing his guitar.
He's bringing his guitar.
A
lot of people don't know he's got Thunderstruck. There's another good one. Thanks,
yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of people don't know Johnny has got a band and he plays a guitar. I don't know if he's bringing an electric and an amp or just the acoustic.
We'll see.
But he's bringing the guitar. And Bob Hudson, who is the department chair of the French and Italian department at BYU, former football player, not at BYU, but he came on a trip. A recruiting to BYU, visit. And who was his host?
Kalani Sitake.
So there's a story there.
So we're going to hear about that.
And we're going to get to that one next week. All right, here's where we can be found this week. I'm in the Deseret News. I'm doing Sports Nation Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, I'm actually out of town the end of the week, so I wish I could come do it with you. But I'll be back here next Monday, and then I have some stuff next week I've got to do. So.
Okay, it's going to be an awesome show next week. And we remind you to go back to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. Help us grow that thing.
And by the way, the Cruising with the Cougs from my thing right here.
Yeah.
That's a week from Friday. We head out on that cruise with 3,000 BYU fans and a bunch of fun.
Will you
BYU
make sure
legends.
to talk to Bilo?
Yeah,
so he can sub for you.
While
you're over there.
I'll make sure that Bilo. We should do a show from there. And the only reason this guy's not going is because somebody had to stay back and call all the sports.
I got like 4 baseball games that week.
Yep. So he had to stay and call baseball. But I'm lucky I get to go. And
you have to represent
That'll
us.
be my assignment because I'm hosting a BYU quarterbacks show, and I'm hosting a tribute to LaVelle Edwards show, and I'm hosting a couple of other things there. So it'll be pretty fun. There's a few cabins left. So if you haven't, the BYU cruise, come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How about this late ad on the stream from David coming in hot?
Dirty deeds and they're done dirt cheap.
Yeah, there's another good one. David says late signing in from Singapore. So better late than never. And it's good to have you with us.
That's right. David, thanks for coming in. We always love when Singapore's on there. And if you miss most of the show, don't forget, you can always watch it. You can rewatch it on YouTube or come out as a podcast tomorrow. And we love that you join us whenever you can. All of you.
Thanks, everyone. Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Who knows who the basketball team's going to add by next week's show?
That's right. So tune in and you will find out. See you next week.